I hope you slept well last night, because you may never sleep again after watching this. I'm going to show you what a real demon looks like in our world. If I asked you to picture a devil, I think a lot of you would go to like him from Powerpuff Girls, like just that really classic red monster with horns. But in real life, that's not what a devil looks like. This is what it looks like. Kenneth Copeland. Kenneth Copeland is a preacher, evangelist, whom I've referenced many times in the past, that exploits religion for financial gain. He is extraordinarily wealthy by taking advantage of the people in his faith. And he does all of it with a smile on his face and an attitude that resembles just pure evil. He is what I believe to be a wolf in sheep's clothing, as they say. Let me show you one of his most famous interviews, which is going viral again, which is why I wanted to talk about it, where he was interviewed by Inside Edition about his lavish lifestyle.
How are you, sir? We'd just like to ask you about why you don't want to fly commercial. Why have you said that you won't fly commercial? You said that it's like getting into a tube with a bunch of demons. Why do you think that?
Yeah, he's one of those private jet preachers that I always like to insult and call attention to the hypocrisy of. People like him, these evangelists or heads of mega churches that live a life of outrageous luxury financed off the backs of those in their congregation who are donating under the guise that it's going to help further their faith or help the church or something like that, when really all it's doing is enabling them to live a lavish lifestyle. It always just makes me sick to my stomach. It runs so counter to the Bible that I have no doubt in my mind they will likely be going to hell without God even giving them a consideration of entering the pearly fucking gates up there. It is deplorable. It is just diabolical stuff. And yet it is so common. I just recently talked about an online pastor who blamed his cryptocurrency scam on God, saying that God made him make a shitcoin to scam the people that follow him, which has to be one of the most blasphemous things you can ever say as a pastor, but he had the gall, the fucking chutzpah, to blame the crypto scam on the Lord. And you're going to see this a lot throughout this interview, and if you ever dive into this rabbit hole of corrupt pastors, they always use their connection with God as the excuse. Well, God actually wants me to have a whole fleet of private jets. It's actually very Christian to be wealthy. And it's just a complete bastardization of what the Bible's supposed to teach.
No, listen to me just a second. Of course. Not the people. The main reason is because of the need. If I flew commercial, I'd have to stop 65% of what I'm doing.
Baloney. What a load of horseradish. You wouldn't have to stop 65% of what you're doing if you flew commercial. You can fly commercial and still reach all of the same places. There are more planes in the sky right now than there is poop in my butt. And trust me, there's a lot of poop in there, because I haven't taken my morning shit yet. You can fly commercial and still do all of the same work you've been doing. And it's not like you're doing important work, Kenneth. All you do is you're basically like this Dementor who sucks money out of everywhere he goes. That's not important work. You're just perverting Christianity to fit your own agenda of making as much doubloons as you possibly can accrue in this lifetime.
Isn't it true that you want to fly commercial so that you can fly in luxury? How much money did you pay for Tyler Perry's Gulfstream jet, for example?
Well, for example, that's really none of your business, but...
Isn't it the business of your donors?
Listen, I paid. You kind of caught me off guard here, okay?
Certainly. Well, if you'd like to come out here, I'd like to give you a chance to catch your breath. And
he's floundering here because he knows there's really no way of justifying this when actually confronted with the question. He usually relies on the Bible as a shield from criticism, so all the people in his faith, if they question him, he says, oh, well, you're questioning God. But now he's actually getting interviewed by someone who's done their research and is actually talking to him about how his lifestyle is the complete opposite of what the Bible talks about. And he doesn't really know how to defend it, because there's no way of doing that. It's also very telling the way he views all the people around him by calling them demons in a tube when talking about flying commercial and why he just won't do it, because he can't stand to be around people in general. He just wants to use them for his own financial gain. It's a fucking sickening perspective. And his mannerisms, the way that he does these like creepy smiles and his gestures, all of it is so menacing.
And have a conversation. We don't want to catch you off guard.
I love Inside Edition. You got to get this now. Hey, you listening to me? My wife thinks Inside Edition is, oh yeah. Now,
That'll send a shiver down your spine. The way he acts and the way he sounds, all of it is what I imagine it would look and sound like if a demon was ever made flesh on this planet. He is what I would picture the Antichrist looking and acting like. It's just like disturbing listening to him speak. My wife thinks Inside Edition is, oh yeah. What does that even mean? Like he's clearly trying his best to like suck their cock. Like, Inside Edition is incredible. I can't believe you guys would do this to me when I'm such a fan of yours. It's just weird. It's so off-putting. Everything about him feels so fake and sinister.
thank you, Lord. Help me. Let me pray this thing.
Well, let me just ask you a really simple question. A lot of people think it's unbecoming for a preacher to live a life of luxury and to fly around in private jets. What's your response to that?
Very simple. It takes a lot of money to do what we do. We have brought over 100, let's see, the latest figures just came out, 122 million people to the Lord Jesus Christ.
Can you show me the Carfax on that? I'd really like to see the data to support that claim. What I think happened is you brought in $122 million. That's not necessarily bringing people to the faith, you know what I mean? That's more like bringing the clams to the bank, is what it seems more to me. I really appreciate the Inside Edition interviewer not pulling any punches, just playing hardball here. She is absolutely cooking Kenneth. She is slapping his cheeks on the grill and whipping up a fine ass patty here at the barbecue today. Watching Kenneth squirm is priceless, and you're going to see his defense mechanism, as it is for a lot of these corrupt pastors, is always like, I need to pray, hold on, wait a minute, I'm getting a message from God, it's a transmission into my cerebral cortex, hold on a minute. And then he's like, oh Lord, I pray, wait, hold on a second, Inside Edition, shit, I'm getting overcome with the faith again, he said I need another private jet, oh yeah. Like, it's one of those things where, in the middle of being confronted with an indefensible statement or an indefensible act, they desperately cling to, hold on, I gotta pray real quick. Like, no, I'm a good person because God's talking to me and I gotta pray. I'm so overcome with it, I've gotta pray. And you see that time and time again when it comes to this. It's pathetic. And it's honestly an affront to God, I would imagine, to try and use him as your get-out-of-jail-free card. That shit, again, that's gotta be blasphemous. It's gotta be.
Without the airplane that we have that I bought from Tyler Perry, and I didn't pay anywhere. Tyler's one of the greatest guys. He made that airplane so cheap for me, I couldn't help but buy it.
Case closed. It was such a good deal, he was losing people's money by not investing it in that private jet. Man, thank God for Tyler. I have no doubt the good Lord put Tyler in the position he's in today just so he could give Kenneth Copeland a private jet at a great deal to continue to spread the good word and the gospel.
Well, my question then, okay, all right, but I want to get to the demons, because people are very concerned about that comment.
Give me a chance here, Inside Edition. Okay. I love your eyes. And,
I don't know what all this was here. It was like a cat playing with a toy. He was just like swatting at her or something to get her to stop. And then he gives her a random compliment out of nowhere, just like a rogue statement. You have great eyes. What the fuck is that? Why are you so unhinged? He's all over the place here.
Here's what happened. We flew in 21 days, 70 hours, 40,000 miles, touched 5 continents, and preached face to face personally with 125,000 people.
Do you ever...
What in the fuck are you yapping about? What are you blabbering on about? That has nothing to do with your statement about the demons in the tube from commercial airlines you can't be caught dead around. This is a nothing burger. What are you talking about? This is, again, dodging it and just putting it on like, oh, we do great work that can only be accomplished through the use of a private jet. We couldn't reach all of these places commercial. It wouldn't make any sense. It's got to be a private jet, a very luxurious one, so I can be closer to God up there in heaven. It's fucking ridiculous.
Do you ever use your private jets to go visit your vacation homes, for example?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Again, getting back to the comment, you said that you don't like to fly commercial because you don't want to get into a tube with a bunch of demons. Do you really believe that human beings are demons?
No, I do not. And don't you ever say I did. We wrestle not with flesh and blood, but principalities and powers.
He was so close to letting the mask slip off his face right there in that moment. I really thought he was about to reach over and start strangling her like Homer Simpson to Bart. Like, he gets the finger out and he gets really stern and serious. That look that he gives her, that would strike fear in the hearts of anyone. His facial expressions are so exaggerated, he's like a Pixar character. The way that he's able to constantly have these wide range of emotions that he conveys like that. The way he flips from infuriated to like smiling at her in the creepiest way possible, it's alarming. Everything about this guy should be sending you into a fight or flight response. As opposed to just throwing money at him, it should be running away from him.
Can you explain what you meant by that term then? Just explain, because it's really simple. You said you didn't want to get into a tube with a bunch of demons. What did you mean?
Well, let me ask you.
Do you think that people that fly commercial are demons?
If you give me a chance to talk, sweetheart, I'll explain this to you. But it's a biblical thing. It's a spiritual thing. It doesn't have anything to do with people. People, I love people. Jesus loves people.
That's probably the first truthful thing he's ever said in his life. I have no doubt that Kenneth Copeland loves people. Because people are the ones that finance his lavish lifestyle. They pay for his private jet vacations that he goes on all the fucking time out the wazoo. So I know he loves people. I'd argue there's only one thing Kenneth Copeland loves more than people. Wallets. And sticking his dick in there and just fucking them raw. Taking as much money out of it as he can possibly find. Through misleading them through the faith. And exploiting them. And taking advantage of them. That's the only thing that he loves more than just people in general would be my bet. So again, he will not just answer the question of what he meant by being in a tube with a bunch of demons on it, and the Inside Edition interviewer continues to press that, which I really appreciate. He continues to just tiptoe around it. Let me ask you a question. No, goofball, just answer it yourself. Just say what you meant. Say it with your whole chest.
But people get pushed in alcohol. Do you think that's a good place for a preacher to be and prepare to go preach to a lot of people when somebody in there is dragging some woman down an aisle? It made me so mad to see that on television. I wanted to punch the guy out myself. I can't be doing that while I'm getting ready to preach.
So you just don't like to be around the sinful people or the hurtful people. Is that what you're saying?
Not the people, baby. Not the people. Back during the days that we couldn't do anything else, we had to travel commercial.
The saddest period in his life when he had to fly commercial. God bless, I can't believe he made it out alive with that. Yeah, that's horrifying. Horrifying. But again, Kenneth, you're directly referencing people when you're talking about this. You gave an example of a man dragging someone down the aisle. Like, what? You're literally talking about people, and you're like, no, not the people. What the fuck are you talking about? And he brings up, like, alcohol? I can't be around alcohol in commercial. That's not a good place for a preacher. What the fuck? The reason he won't just say what we all know he meant is because he knows that even the most brainwashed in his following would hear that and get a very bad impression of it. Because he is basically calling them demons. And that could potentially hurt his bottom line.
We wrestle not with people, but with principalities and powers, unseen things, rulers of the darkness of this world. Talking about the devil, he's a very real devil, just the same as Jesus is a very real Lord.
Yeah, I'm starting to agree, Kenneth. I feel like I'm watching an interview with the devil right now. He continues, again, to just try and start spouting sermons that are pretty unrelated to this whole thing. He then talks about how many jets they have, and, well, he still has no way of defending it in any meaningful capacity. Because you can't really defend it, because there is no universe where a preacher needs this level of wealth to do what they do. It's gluttonous. That's a sin, Kenneth. It's corruption. Blatant corruption. And it comes from, at least partly, from the donations of just normal people that go to these mega churches or go to these traveling evangelists, that kind of shit. It comes from them trying to better their life, but they're doing it through a con man who's taking advantage of that desire. And it's fucking sad. It always makes me furious. Kenneth Copeland is one of my least favorite people on the planet and has been for the better part of a decade. I've talked about Kenneth for a long time now, and I'm sure I will continue to do so, because this guy is going to most likely live forever, because he is propped up by the puppet strings of Lucifer himself. So this guy, he's probably going to outlast everybody on this planet at some point.
But the main thing that happened that wasn't the main reason. The main reason was I could no longer do what I called to do and be on the airlines. Besides that, I need my clothes when I get there.
And you have some fancy clothes. I mean, for a pastor, you are living a life of luxury. You've got great homes. You've got great planes. You drive in limos.
I'm a very wealthy man.
You're a very wealthy man.
Yes.
Cool, I guess. If I was someone that was putting money into the church and what I believe would be a man of God, I think the number one thing I wouldn't want to hear is that he just uses it to be a wealthy man with a bunch of really fancy clothes, cars, and private jets. Feels like it defeats the whole purpose, don't you think? I also can't help but focus on his turkey neck that keeps jiggling every time he speaks. It's like paper in like a strong gust of wind constantly. His neck, like there's so much loose skin on it, it looks like the rudder to a boat or something, and it just keeps fucking flapping around and it distracts me.
My wealth doesn't come from offerings alone.
Because you sell things, books and DVDs.
Yes, and I have a lot of natural gas on our property. Didn't know that, did you, babe?
Now I do.
Yeah, you do. Isn't that wonderful?
You realize that you still just did a big self-report there, don't you, Kenneth? You said that your wealth doesn't come from offerings alone, which means some of it does, which means some of your wealth is taken directly from the offerings of those in your churches and those that believe that what they're doing is for the greater good of the faith, not to line your pockets. You openly just admitted to that.
But it will run something in the neighborhood of 25 million in the poor. You can't do that and be broke.
So final question is, a lot of people maybe have a misunderstanding then about what you do in prosperity preaching. So the final question is this. To those critics that say that a preacher should not be living a life of luxury, what is your response to that?
They're wrong.
That's it?
Enough said. Hey, checkmate. Now give him more money for being wrong and hurting his feelings, so he can get himself a new private jet to dry his tears with. He says that he invests 20 to 25 million in the poor. What do you do? How do you help them? Seems like you just take money from everybody. What do you do with that 20 to 25 million that you apparently invest in the poor? I looked it up and I couldn't really find anything on that. There's really no information on it. I'm super curious now. Seems like just kind of a lie. Maybe invest 20 to 25 million in like smaller businesses that serve less wealthy areas or something. I have no clue, but I can't find anything where he's like directly helping anybody except himself, actually.
It's a misunderstanding of the Bible that if you go into the Old Covenant, do you think the Jewish people believe you should be broke?
Are you saying that Jewish people appreciate money more than... Really?
They believe in wealth.
Some people would find that offensive.
No, wait a minute now. I'm not talking about some people. I'm talking about the Bible.
Shit's getting really weird now, and Kenneth Copeland is clearly struggling and sweating. This has nothing to do with the Bible either, by the way, because the Bible makes it clear in no uncertain terms that this house of worship should never be used as a place for, like, financial benefit for those involved. Like, you know that moment a lot of people recall from the Bible where Jesus flips a table? They might forget why that happened, so I'm going to go ahead and post this. Jesus entered the temple courts and drove out all who were buying and selling there. He overturned the tables of the money changers and the benches of those selling doves. It is written, he said to them, my house will be called a house of prayer, but you are making it a den of robbers. This has been brought up before, and I have seen a lot of slimy excuses and really weird interpretations of that to still justify taking a ton of money from people in the church. But the way I always interpreted that, and really the way I was kind of taught when I was still very religious back when I was growing up, like I mentioned, I actually got baptized twice in case the Lord slept through the first one, like if his alarm didn't go off to watch it. I did it twice just to ensure. But with this, I was always under the impression that the lesson is that the faith should never be used as just a way of making money from people through it.
The Bible also says that it's more difficult for a rich man to get into heaven than it is for a camel to get through the eye of a needle, correct?
The rest of the scripture. But he said, all things are possible with God.
I thought that was a really good dunk from the reporter there, that Kenneth Copeland tries to weasel his way out of. I don't think it's a really good excuse, though. That's kind of a cop-out. Oh yeah, it does say that in the Bible, but it also says anything's possible through the power of God. When that's an excuse you see a lot of terrible pieces of shit use. What's the expression? Sin 6 days of the week, ask forgiveness on the 7th, repeat the cycle, something like that. He's basically just saying like, yeah, no, it does say that, and me taking all this money from these people, maybe it is sinful, but hey, anything's possible through the power of God. I'll probably still get into heaven because he forgives anything, so who cares? I'll do what I want, and then ask for forgiveness, and get it.
Both of my grandfathers were preachers. They were both very poor. They lived simple, modest lives. They were extremely offended by men that made money like you do, preaching like you do. What would your response be to people that think that preachers shouldn't live this kind of a lifestyle? Folks like both my grandfathers.
And I understand that. And I love them with all my heart. It's your grandfathers that we're standing on their shoulders.
Not exactly an inspiring thing to say. It's your grandfathers that I've built my empire on top of, the preachers that were actually doing some good work and being genuine people. Well, I was able to exploit that good reputation for myself. I'm standing on their shoulders. It's thanks to them. They're the real heroes. Like, oh my god, they're turning over in their grave right now hearing that statement. That is abhorrent.
Sir, thank you so much for your time
What's your
today.
name?
Lisa Guerrero.
Lisa, God bless. Father bless Lisa today. Thank you for her grandparents. I love Inside Edition. I love the people on it. And it thrills me to get a chance to have my face on Inside Edition.
Thank you very much,
you,
Reverend.
girl.
You have a nice day.
Yes, ma'am.
That's where the interview concludes. And I think Kenneth Copeland is a real asshole. I think that guy is evil. Everything about him is exactly what I would picture a demon on this earth disguising itself as, to a T. It's almost cartoonish how evil his aura is. So yeah, anyway, that's really about it. So yeah. On TikTok there lives many evils, some cringe, some criminal. Just like the Force with the Jedi and the Sith, there exists a balance. And today, we're gonna tiptoe and tap dance all over that line between cringe and criminal as we look at a completely deplorable individual named Madison who hatched a diabolical scheme to fake cancer, apparently with the goal of getting her family back together. At least according to her, that's the statement she made in court as to the motive behind faking cancer. Which, if that really was the goal of it, that is a worse plan than anything Ed, Edd n Eddy ever hatched for jawbreakers back in the day. It makes no sense, but basically, she faked cancer, eventually started getting, public speaking gigs, I suppose. She documented her battle with it in an attempt to, uplift people, I suppose. She also made a GoFundMe, which collected, $37,000, which turns this whole thing from just a complete fabrication for the sake of attention, possibly, into a full-blown scam where she was taking money from people under a complete lie. And then, eventually, the whole house of cards came crumbling down after an investigation concluded that she made everything up. Now, I can't find the first videos she started to post about this. It only exists, from what I can find, in a Ray William Johnson video he just posted covering this, so I'm just going to show you a clip from that.
They found a mass on my pancreas, and I had stage 2 pancreatic cancer at just 19 years old.
Oh, but that's not even the worst part. She also had leukemia.
The 5-year outlook of survival is a slim 11%.
But does all this stop Madison? No way. She sees it as an opportunity to document her battle and uplift others.
What an incredibly evil thing to lie about. Now, of course, she's far from the only person on the cyberspace to lie about having cancer. In fact, there was a really recent story I just talked about like a month ago about a poker player who lied about having terminal cancer in order to raise money to enter a poker tournament. But anyway, back to Madison. So she posted a lot of update content going over what was happening, and this includes photos that she would take. Photos that she would stage, since she didn't actually have cancer. And I can't find a ton of them. The only one that I can find that was a big smoking gun is, again, from Ray William Johnson's video. So he's got, like, all of the old artifacts here to preserve the story, I guess. So I'll show you a picture of it here, which is this. And a lot of medical professionals saw this and noticed that there was some very fishy shit going on here. It was starting to raise some red flags, sound the alarm bells that, this may not be a case of her having cancer, but instead an undiagnosed case of terminal clout disease. God rest her soul. So the medical professionals pointed out a lot of things that just didn't make sense about the photo. Some inconsistencies, not even using real medical tape, just a laundry list of problems with the photo. And anonymously reported it as suspicious. It got the attention of the Eldridge Police Department, and they conducted an investigation, eventually subpoenaed for medical records from Madison, and found that she'd never been diagnosed with any kind of cancer or tumor from any medical facilities. So it turns out her cancer diagnosis is about as real as Goatman, which is to say, not real at all. Sorry to all the Goatman enthusiasts out there. I don't mean to burst your bubble. I know it's a tough pill to swallow, but it is what it is. He's not real. But what is real is this mugshot right here. Madison was arrested in January. I also didn't mention that even outside of like that one big photo that a lot of people pointed out and heavily scrutinized for inconsistencies, she was posting other photos that weren't hers, apparently. She would use photos from actual cancer patients and post them as if they were her updates, which is unbelievably evil. Like, the whole thing is so genuinely disgustingly evil, but like, to me, when I learned that portion of it, I couldn't believe just how low she sunk for this. Also, it was recommended that Madison not face prison time because she didn't have criminal history and had good grades in college, was employed, which made her less likely to reoffend. Which I think is a bunch of baloney. What a load of dirty barnacles. What do her good grades in college have to do with anything here and her ability to lie about having cancer again? No, she'll never do this again. Wait, look at her report card. She has an A in kinesiology. Obviously, she's not going to pull this stunt again. Don't be ridiculous. No prison time at all. She's learned her lesson. Just slap her on the wrist, send her home. So, someone spoke up about that. Her name is Rhonda Miles, and she runs a pancreatic cancer foundation in Nashville, and they actually donated to Madison and testified at the hearing. It was devastating to sit there and watch Scott County prosecuting attorney act like a defending attorney, so that was tough. And I think she'll have a lot of questions to answer from the locals on that at some point. Why are you defending this girl when you were supposed to be prosecuting? I couldn't agree more. This is not something that is just some whoops-a-daisy mistake kind of silly, stupid, quirky, dumb decision that a young person makes. It's not. This is a cold, calculated, evil plan that she did make like $39,000 from. I don't know why they took it so lightly here. But anyway, before I get to what her sentencing looked like, why don't I let you hear from her herself when she talked about this in court.
20-year-old Madison Russo pleaded guilty to a charge of first-degree theft after police said she pretended to have cancer and received donations online.
I didn't do this for money or greed. I didn't do this for attention. I did this in an attempt to try and get my family back together.
I saw a comment point something out pretty profoundly. It said her plan was to get the family back together, and it worked. They all came to court with her. And I was like, yeah, that's pretty accurate. She never said how the family was going to come back together, so, But I don't necessarily believe that. I feel like if the plan was to get the family back together, why the fuck are you making a GoFundMe and making money off of it, right? Plus, let's just assume that your nefarious plan you cooked up worked and your family all did come together to support you. It's absolutely going to crumble when you don't go to doctors to get your treatment. right? So if the family came together, they would immediately know that you are a lying sack of shit, because you would not be going to any of these treatment facilities, and they'd want to support you, right? So they would immediately know that something is wrong since you're not actually getting any treatment from any medical professionals. It doesn't make sense. So I don't think that was the real motive. That was just trying to weasel her way out of a very, very serious situation here, because she scammed people out of $39,000. Now, she was ordered to repay that money that was donated to her, which is good. So all of the people who donated money, I believe, got money back for it. So it's at least a nice conclusion for them. They didn't just lose out on that forever.
The judge sentenced Russo to a suspended sentence of 10 years. That means she won't go to jail unless she gets in trouble in the future, but it will go on her record.
And basically she received probation, where as long as she doesn't do anything stinky again in the next 3 years, she won't go to jail. But if she does reoffend and do something bad, then she will. Overall, I think she got off pretty easy from this. Oh, I forgot to mention she has 100 hours of community service work, which, you know, that's not exactly the harshest punishment here to fit the crime, if you ask me. To deceive people with a lie like this here and rake in $39,000 with people that believe they're supporting a cancer patient who's going through an incredibly intense battle is so sickeningly disgusting. And I cannot believe how light the sentencing on not only her case, but cases similar to this have been in the past. Like I said, she's not the only one to do this. She's actually far from the only one to do this. But for some reason, they never actually face big repercussions for it. And I guess I just don't really understand why, because it is still a big, very lucrative scam that they're engaging in. It's highly illegal. So why is it always so light with the punishment? I don't know. Sometimes they don't even face punishment. There's been a couple of times in the past online where people have faked cancer, got a bunch of donations, and then just left, vanished. And they, you know, come back a couple of years later, pretend it never happened, and they're just fine. They don't get in any trouble or anything. I don't know. It's just so weird to me. But yeah, I wanted to go over this pretty evil case here of a TikToker being a big ol' sack of shit. That's about it. So yeah. All of you know I'm a huge wrestling enthusiast. I absolutely love it more than Garfield loves lasagna. So much so that we actually have our own wrestling league, the Moist Wrestling League, and we even dropped our most recent episode a few days ago. This isn't meant to be a plug for it or anything. This is actually a really serious topic. The reason I mention that is because I'm just showcasing my passion for this craft. And for the longest time now, many decades, there has been this stain in the wrestling industry with a boogeyman that sits atop the food chain. His name is Vince McMahon. He is a cockroach that no amount of pest control can seem to get rid of. I'm confident even if you don't follow wrestling closely, you know Vince McMahon. He is extraordinarily wealthy and he has infested tons of other things even outside of just the wrestling industry. And this man is downright evil. He has a laundry list of deplorable, disgusting, heinous acts that would make the devil flinch. I've talked about him at length quite a bit on streams and even in a couple of videos in the past, so I'm not going to be focusing on his sins from the past here. I highly encourage all of you to just Google his name. It's not hard to find any of this information. It's all just right there out in the open, right there at your fingertips. It is horrible stuff. I'm not talking about just like some drama where he was mean behind the scenes, which of course he was. I'm talking about covering up crimes, sexual misconduct. The list goes on and on and on, seemingly no end. And that's just what we know. There's probably still tons and tons of skeletons in that fucking closet. But anyway, the reason I'm talking about Vince McMahon again today is he is now at the center of another massive lawsuit here that has actually forced his hand and had him resign from his position at the WWE/UFC. They recently merged, the multi-billion-dollar deal, and Vince McMahon, in light of all of this, has stepped down. The information comes from someone named Janelle Grant, who worked at the WWE's headquarters and is accusing the company's founder, Vince McMahon, of sexual assault, sex trafficking, and physical abuse in the lawsuit that was filed on Thursday. According to the lawsuit, Grant alleged that McMahon promised a job and later promotions at WWE in exchange for sex, and the lawsuit also includes allegations that McMahon trafficked her to other men inside and outside of the company, and there is a couple of names that get dropped that are some very big, alarming names, obviously. Now, even if you're not part of the wrestling community, I bet you've heard some buzz about this lawsuit because some text messages allegedly leaked from it, as well as some of the claims in the lawsuit are extraordinarily disturbing. Like, it is some depraved shit. And I mean shit, literally. One of the big parts of this lawsuit that was popping off on Twitter, like general Twitter, was this section where Miss Grant is talking about a threesome that McMahon put her in. And she says, early in the encounter, McMahon immediately directed Miss Grant to lay down on her back in a supplicating position. While straddling over her, McMahon defecated on Miss Grant's head. McMahon left to shower off, but he instructed Miss Grant to remain in place with excrement in her hair and to continue performing for his friend. While Miss Grant requested protection, none was offered. McMahon and physical therapist actively continued with the threesome and directed Miss Grant's sexual performance for around an hour and a half while she was left covered in feces. Absolutely sickening and sadly not surprising behavior from Vince McMahon. I believe this is only the tip of the iceberg. I think this is the first domino to fall, and there's going to be a lot more information that comes out about some of the degeneracy, some of the crimes and awful shit that was going on behind the scenes under Vince McMahon here. Now, I saw quite a few people caught off guard by this, surprised to learn that Vince McMahon is a bad guy. They were wondering how this stayed buried, or how any of the sexual misconduct allegations didn't surface sooner. Like, how was it all kept a secret? I had to do a bit of a double take when I saw that. I got fucking stun-locked for a second. Now, of course, it's no one's fault. I don't blame anyone for not knowing about Vince McMahon's past. Like, if you're not an active wrestling fan, there's a really good chance you just didn't know any of this about him. But the only secret here is that there was no secret. Everyone knew about Vince McMahon's sexual degeneracy. Vince McMahon's sexual degeneracy is about as much of a secret as smoking cigarettes being bad for your health. This fucking ghoul paid nearly $15 million in hush money to quiet 4 women who were bringing up claims of sexual misconduct against him that had occurred over a period of 16 years. And that's actually why he previously stepped down. Now, of course, he stepped back up into a prominent position with the company after the merger with the UFC, and now he is stepping down again, once again, from sexual misconduct claims. So it's just never really been a secret that this decaying corpse, this fucking revolting gremlin of a man, is a horrifying piece of shit. It's just more people are opening their eyes to Vince McMahon being this fiend. Thanks to Janelle Grant's lawsuit, really making waves and highlighting a lot of previously unknown things like the sex trafficking and some of the other names that were included here to show how deep this rabbit hole goes and how awful all of it was. Now, sexual misconduct is something Vince McMahon calls home, so this isn't his first rodeo, and he tried to cover his own ass. Not literally, because he shit on someone's head, but legally tried to cover himself by trying to pressure Grant into signing a non-disclosure agreement in exchange for payments over several years totaling $3 million after their relationship and employment ended. So he was trying to silence her, to make sure she wouldn't, blow the lid off of this. Now, I'm no lawyer, I'm no expert, but I don't think a non-disclosure agreement protects you in the case of crimes. Like, I don't think if you're sex trafficking someone, you can have all of your victims sign an NDA and then they can't speak about it, you're safe. And if they do speak about it, they're the ones in trouble. I just can't imagine a world where if Grant signs that non-disclosure agreement and then goes forward with bringing this information to light, that she would face punishment for it. Like, I can't even picture that kind of lunacy. Like, listen, ma'am, we're really sorry about that sex trafficking thing. That's bad stuff. But you violated your NDA. And breaking an NDA is so much worse. You're going to prison. You're going to the slammer for that. You don't violate the contract. It's sacred. It's binding. Like, I just don't think an NDA protects you in the case of a crime being committed. Again, I'm not an expert, though. The only NDAs I've ever signed were to play a video game early, not poop on someone's skull, among other horrible, horrible acts. Allegedly. It's fucking scary stuff what was going on behind the scenes at the WWE with Vince McMahon. The parent company has issued a bit of a statement here. The parent company is TKO Group Holdings, and they said that McMahon doesn't control TKO or oversee day-to-day operations at the WWE, and that while this matter predates our TKO executive team's tenure at the company, we take Ms. Grant's horrific allegations very seriously and are addressing this matter internally. And a spokesperson for Vince McMahon also made a statement and said that the lawsuit was replete with lies, obscene made-up instances that never occurred, and a vindictive distortion of the truth. He will vigorously defend himself. I wish he would vigorously try and dive into a wrestling ring and tear both of his quads again. This is an evil man, and he has been evil for the entire time he has been with the company. And more people are starting to see this now. He is a fucking stain in the industry. I know there is still a lot of Vince McMahon fans because they separate art from the artist. He plays a character in the WWE, the commissioner, and he has been kind of iconic in the scene. I get that. Like, there is a lot of great WWE moments that, unfortunately, Vince McMahon is there for and was a big part of. Like, he played the role well. But as a person, he is terrible and a horrible person to have at the position of power that he does in the industry. He shouldn't be in the industry. He shouldn't even be outside of a fucking jail cell for the things he's done. Like, I can't separate art from the artist when it comes to something like this. I just can't do it. I know there are people that are, and I'm not, like, mad at you for it or anything, but I can't. He is just absolute trash, scum, the lowest of the low, and I will, of course, be keeping my eyes on this lawsuit as everything continues to develop here. I just wanted to give you, like, the very bare bones of it, like the basics. There is so much to it. I urge anyone out there that's curious to take a look, but just fair warning, it is disturbing. It's very not pleasant to read. So yeah, just wanted to talk about it a bit. That's it. So yeah. I'll be honest, I don't usually cover topics like what I'm about to touch on today because it's extremely serious. Usually the stuff I cover is things to point and laugh at, throw tomatoes at, say boo, stinky, yucky, boo. Not this. This is horrifying. It's a story I haven't seen a ton of people mention, and I myself didn't know about it until a few nights ago where just some random chatter during stream mentioned it. And I looked it up, and the information was only a few minutes old. Like, I don't even know how that guy had access to it so quickly, unless he's like one of the chief investigators on the case that just typed it in the chat. But when I looked it up there wasn't a ton of specifics mentioned about the case. But I followed it over the last few days as more and more information has come to the public eye. It is truly evil. And to my knowledge, this is the first case where a live stream was used as an alibi in a murder case or anything of that magnitude. There of course has been cases like with Facebook live streams and even YouTube a couple times where horrible atrocities were committed live, but I think this is the only time that someone has tried to use a live stream to prove their innocence and act as a smokescreen to cover up their crimes. Now, the person I'm about to talk about hasn't been found guilty yet, but they have been charged with murder with overwhelming evidence. Extremely compelling and strong evidence. On December 18th in Ireland, a woman named Natalie McNally was stabbed to death in her own home. She was 15 weeks pregnant at the time of her death. And the person accused of the murder is a man named Stephen McCullough. He is a YouTuber as well as streamer. He mainly focused on toy reviews as far as I can tell, specifically seeming to be a big Doctor Who toy reviewer. So what happened is, on the night of Natalie McNally's murder, Stephen McCullough went live on his channel. And this live stream is still up right now. It's a 6-hour live stream. And this was crucial evidence to prove his innocence on this evening. Because how could McCullough have possibly killed someone when there's proof of him streaming from his home at the same time that the murder had taken place? So they eventually, after bringing him in initially on suspicion of being involved in this case, let him go, because this live stream did serve as a pretty good alibi for him. Plus, this wasn't just streamed to 0 viewers, there were real sentient human beings with a pulse there to watch this stream, so should any of this information ever come to light, there would be a lot of witnesses saying, no, I was watching him stream, he was 100% at home. So that was his whole plan. And while this worked for a brief period of time getting him out of suspicion, it was an ephemeral victory because after the investigators combed through about 4,000 hours worth of CCTV footage, they kind of pinned his whole location. They got his whole itinerary here. They were able to track him around and follow him around like it was a fucking Sims character. So not only did they see him through the CCTV evidence, but they also have the account of the taxi driver. They even took notice of things like a yellow glove underneath a black glove while giving change to a bus driver. And with all of this, they had a really strong case against him being the murderer. But they still had that live stream to explain. Because again, there is a live stream that did span the entire course where all of this took place. So how the fuck does this happen? You know, is he David Copperfield? Like, what, 2 places at once? Is this some kind of prestige situation where he had like a twin or a clone of himself? The actual answer is it's far simpler than you would possibly ever think. The live stream was fake. Yes, the stream went live on his channel during this whole period of time, but it wasn't actually a live stream. It was a pre-recorded video that Stephen McCullough had recorded days prior in order to look like a live stream, to mimic a live stream, so that way it could be used as an alibi for him. And when you watch the live stream, which again is still up on his channel, there are so many alarming red flag moments throughout it, even from the get-go. So he mentions at the very beginning of this live stream that he's not going to be able to read chat for a variety of technical reasons. One of them being it would crash his computer, it'd freeze the computer, it'd ruin the whole stream because of all of these deep tech problems that he couldn't solve. Everything's gone cattywampus, so he won't be able to read your chat. More like, Doctor, who's talking? Because I can't see you, I'm not reading chat. He just keeps reiterating over and over and over again that there's going to be no chat interaction. Because obviously, since this is a pre-recorded thing, there is no chat for him to read or interact with.
Well, because this streaming software is kind of up the left, it means I can't check the live chat, which is a real shame. Can't look at the live chat for some bloody reason, because if I do, it makes the whole thing freeze and OBS just screws up.
And he just kept explaining why he can't read chat, and then he started talking about well, I guess I could read it on my phone, but I get addicted to TikTok when I'm on my phone, and that's a mess, so I've put my phone in timeout in another room, so I won't be reading chats there either, and that'd probably ruin my internet too anyway. So no chat tonight. You guys can talk amongst yourself. I don't even like live streamers who read chat, so no chat for me tonight. There's plenty of streamers who don't interact with chat, but to go this long and this in-depth on things that make absolutely no fucking sense whatsoever to explain why you're not going to be reading chat or reacting to donations is definitely a little odd. And there's plenty of other really alarming moments about this stream, especially looking back on it in hindsight. He keeps reiterating that he's live, this is live, and he's staying inside all night. He talks about drinking and driving, and he'd never drink and drive, which is why he's staying inside, drinking on stream live for his viewers to enjoy. He's playing GTA Vice City throughout the stream, and he's making comments about how the police force is no longer equipped to handle cases, and there's a rise in crime. It's in the real world he's talking about. It's all very fucking alarming stuff, but by far the scariest thing he says has to be this.
Yeah, that's physics. That's what would happen in the real world. Abso-fucking-notly. Abso-fucking-notly.
Completely out of nowhere, unprompted, he mentions someone named Natalie in a pretty menacing way. And once again, there's plenty of other things he says in here that are very scary, but I think this one is by far the worst moment. This has been 100% confirmed beyond a shadow of a doubt to be a fake live stream. When authorities seized some possessions, they found the actual video itself and concluded that it was filmed on December 13th or 14th. And also, McCullough himself has confirmed that the live stream was not actually live, it was pre-recorded, but insists that he was actually just drinking by himself alone that night. He completely denies the murder and insists that someone else may have been dropped off in a taxi near his home. This is referring to the CCTV evidence that they've gathered, pinpointing all of his locations throughout the evening. There's also other awful shit here as well. McCullough stayed pretty close to Natalie McNally's parents, and in one case even left his phone over at their house in order to bug them and secretly spy on them to record their conversations to see if he was a suspect. So McCullough went to the McNally house, left his phone on record, and left, but returned 40 minutes later claiming to have forgotten it, and police were saying that this was an attempt to listen into their conversations to see if they suspected him of anything in this. I can't envision a world where Stephen McCullough is not the person who committed this crime. There is just an overwhelming amount of evidence against him. And he still doesn't have a real explanation for what the possible motive to faking the live stream would even be. Nothing that makes sense, at least. And then randomly dropping Natalie's name during it. I just cannot imagine that this man is innocent, but he hasn't been found fully guilty of being the murderer yet. But yeah, overall, a horrifying situation. I'm wishing the absolute best for the McNally family, and I'm hoping justice is served here. That's about it. So yeah. I'm sure by now many of you have at least heard of the EDP445 situation. That sounds like some kind of fucking Call of Duty Zombies Easter egg, but for those that don't know, EDP445 stands for Eat That Pussy. He was a big YouTuber. He had a huge online presence, and this week he was accused, and with a lot of evidence backing it, of being a pedophile. And with video evidence, him showing up to a meeting place where he believed he was meeting with a 13-year-old that was actually set up in very similar style to like a Chris Hansen investigation by a YouTuber, Predator Poachers. That name actually is shared by other people who hunt predators, but today this was done by one person or one group in particular, and that person, the big face behind it, is not a good person at all. And that's why I wanted to do this little intro here, because I want to make it clear that there's no heroes in this story. You can't root for the person behind the investigation of EDP. They did a good thing, but they're a shit person. The main guy behind Predator Poacher has had a lot come out about him recently, showing his prank calls to a BLM hotline where he just says the N-word. He said the N-word, hard R, multiple times. Believes he's like an edgy troll, but his trolling is just saying the N-word. Epic prank. And he's just not someone that I can really appreciate the work of. But he and his group were the ones that broke this story on EDP, who is a very bad person as well, who, with all of this evidence coming forward, which is pretty damning, have put together this whole case against EDP445. And today I watched it all on Twitch, streamed it with the community, so that way we could all be caught up on the internet lore together. I've heard it's really bad. So yeah, the general gist of it, EDP445, a huge YouTuber, very popular YouTuber. I personally wasn't super familiar with his work. I'd always heard his name though, stands for Eat the Pussy 445. So this came out a day ago, which was to hype this up. I think this is only reading text messages, and this is when he actually showed up. This is the only thing I've seen. This guy has a fucked up past. Like, even on this channel, apparently some videos that are still up from streams where he'd call BLM and drop the N-word to them or something. Like, he'd call organizations supporting BLM and just start dropping the N-word or some shit. Like, this guy is not a good guy.
So, everybody go subscribe right now. Go subscribe. And if you want to see the full chat message...
I'm sorry to interrupt again. Another thing, the reason this video took so long for them to put out... is because he wanted to wait for it to get full monetization. So that's why he kept hyping it up, and the reason why he kept pushing it back, because it wouldn't get full ads on it. So this guy's kind of a real piece of shit, if I'm being honest. Like, he does a good thing in the worst possible way.
And show interest.
Who starts a conversation like that?
You're old, so...
What?
Bit of talk.
Dropped a mean ass shit. Man, they say fucking chivalry is dead. This guy is suave. Now that is how you flirt. That's a good line for Tinder, I'd say. If you guys need any help on like your game, take notes from EDP. Dropped a mean ass shit. And then send an audio message. Do I have to go to the other ones in order to... He sent a picture of his shit? No fucking... Alright, hold on. Does this... We're gonna have to keep going back and forth. This is gonna be like an MLA formatted fucking research paper here with citations. For these text messages, if I want to see them uncensored, do I have to go to this stream?
For more people to...
So do I have to like cross-reference the uncensored versions with the stream here? I can't show a picture of literal shit on Twitch, but I need to confirm whether or not he sent a shit pic. That's very bold. Just ordered some pizza, about to fuck this shit up. Pizza sounds good. Hell yeah, I'm about to annihilate that shit. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Oh! He sent a picture of his shit! Dropped a mean ass shit, and it's a full loaf. This man, he's sending shit pics. And that is not a healthy shit. That's very runny. There's no solid foundation of the stool. That is alarming, considering he just annihilated a pepperoni chicken pizza. He also sent his dick. Yeah, but that's not nearly as cool as a shit pic. EDP was breaking new grounds. They were only just starting to talk. It had been 2 days, I think. And then he hits her with, drop a mean ass shit, and then sends a picture of his toilet bowl with poopy in it. Yeah, I'd show the other video, but I'm worried of how many pictures of shit he might have sent. Like, what the fuck is this? Hi, how are you? Good, how are you? Good, just having lunch. What did you eat? Tacos. That's cool. What are you doing? Just got done beating my shit. Now watching YouTube. Oh, yeah, I just had some tacos. Also just beat the fuck out of my cock. What are you doing? Yeah, he sent a picture of his actual unedited shit. He didn't even put like a cute little emoji over it, so I'm a little concerned to show it. I think we're right here. How is this possible? I just went to a random point in here. How is the bathroom trip going? Going great. I'm fucking this bitch up. What the fuck? Are you sure he only sends one shit pic? Like, it seems like that's all they talked about was him shitting. I went a little too far. I skipped ahead in the lore. I was at 14 minutes, not 20. But I accidentally spoiled chapter 2 here, it seems. I like this part. Relax, I'm not a weirdo or anything. When literally 5 days ago he sent a picture of his actual shit in a toilet. No, we're doing both videos. The only reason I'm going back and forth is because these are censored and I want to understand how we got here. Oh, he seems bothered that she's 13, but then for some reason continues to talk. Oh, okay, here we go. So he has like a realization here. Not enough to go to jail over. Okay. So how does he continue to, like, fall for this, then? I was eating a corn dog today and the bitch burned the roof of my mouth. I spit that shit out so fast. Alright. Just a little PSA, don't take pictures like this. These kind of pics just never really work. It's just kind of a weird pic. Make sure you get some good flattering angles. You don't need to put like a ton of thought into it, but just enough to know where it doesn't look like you're crawling under someone's bed. Where are you ticklish? On my back and stomach. If you ever want something from me, and you want it, the easiest way would be to tickle me. Okay. I hope you don't tickle me, that's my weakness. If EDP was a boss battle, tickling would be his weak spot. That'd be your DPS phase. One of these days, I'm gonna surprise you, put my hands over your eyes and be like, guess who? That's like the worst surprise ever. That'd be like the last way I'd want to be introduced to somebody. Ugh, this is so fucking weird. Want your first kiss to be enjoyable. This really does remind me of To Catch a Predator, like the chat logs that they'd show. So he was like super into nibbling on her ear and being tickled and shit. Started talking about sex, and then here he had a realization like, that's fucking illegal and wrong and bad. And now we're caught up. No, we're not. Oh my god, this is still not it. Cute little fingers. Oh, how did this... Okay, what? How did this happen? Literally, like 10 messages ago, he's like, this is bad. Can't do it. We can be friends. Cute fingers, by the way. So you want to have sex? I can go easy, of course. Wait. Nah, EDP doesn't go easy. He goes ultra nightmare mode. There's no slowing down there. Man's just a fucking machine. I honestly enjoy doing what my YouTube name says. Eating the pussy. Yeah. Munching down on those beef curtains, baby! Yeah, there you go, EDP. What's the 445? Just a random number I chose, nothing to the meaning. Definitely has meaning now. I think the 445 absolutely has meaning. The amount of years he'll spend in jail. Well, probably not. You guys, I didn't know this. I learned this the other day. You guys remember Jared Fogle? The guy who had like 15 quadrillion quadruple bytes worth of child porn on his computer, as well as like openly admitting to abusing kids. You know he only got 13 years in jail? Did you know that? I thought he got life imprisonment. This man had so much child porn they had to invent a new way of measuring how much he had. And he only got 13 years in jail. This had to be like a full-time job texting this guy. Putting in 9 to 5 hours here on the text messenger. Can't wait to hug you and kiss you. On the lips. On the cheek. On the neck. And I'd kiss and taste you down there. The vagina. The old vagina. Man, EDP really does just have a way with words. I love to kiss and lick the top of the foot. I love the toes, actually. Huh. So I can lick and suck your boobs. Pretty incredible. How does it feel? Pretty incredible, to be honest. The nipples get hard and really sensitive. I'm telling you, this is a lie. EDP went full fanfic here. He didn't fuck a school teacher. He didn't suckle on her nipples. This doesn't sound like anything a school teacher would say. I'm gonna know more about EDP's fucking life than his therapist does. There's so many text messages. For a virgin, the vagina is tight. Oh, here we go. Getting a health ed course from EDP, the man who just sent a picture of his shit. Basically, when intercourse happens, the penis is stretching open the vagina and forcing those muscles to temporarily stretch apart from one another. That's where the pain comes from. Ah, yes. She should have quizzed him. And what exactly does the potassium pump do in the body, EDP? You seem very knowledgeable on anatomy and physiology. Can you complete my homework? You used the wrong form of your, EDP. Some teacher you are. Your body is full of excitement and anticipation. You're wrong, your again. Your body, I'd anticipating the sex. Poetic. Shakespearean, in fact. I also like roleplay. Hey, that's where you dress up and pretend to be Chris Hansen arresting me. It's a big fetish. Babe, 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 babe. My cute ass little baby girl. How many days have passed since he said, we can only be friends. This is illegal. This is bad. This will fuck me up if it ever got out. I can't do this. And then he immediately goes into, babe, 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 let me suckle your nipples. Man, he really knows what to say. I ran out of toilet paper while taking a shit at the auntie's house. Hey, now I'm starting to get a little hot and bothered if I'm being honest. This guy's just smooth. The amount of times he's told me about his shits that he's taken, sent me a picture of his shit, how can I not start to fall in love, you know what I mean? Such a sassy little shit. I love it. Come to your house, climb through your window, and kiss your cute ass passionately. That's the only solution. Alright, climbing in like the tooth fairy, but instead of leaving money under the pillow, he leaves a little kiss. A little nibble on the ear. Maybe suckle on the toes a bit. Whoa, what the fuck? Handcuff you, throw you in the back of my car, and bring you back to my dungeon. That got really intense super quick. What's brewing? If I'm being honest, it's that I can't wait to feel how tight your vagina is. Cock is really hard. That's how it gets when guys get horny. Ugh. He's really gone in hard now. He's fucking firing in the turbo boosters here. Before it was like, oh, I can't wait to just put my hands over your eyes and say, hello, surprise. Right into, fucking how tight is that pussy? My rock hard dick is about to burst. Ugh, you even have me jerking off. Damn you. He's shaking his fist in the air while he's jerking off. And God damn you. Fuck. Why have you done this? Oh, okay, hold on. I just read that. Let me just make sure there's nothing there. Hold on. I'm not taking any chances here. Oh, he actually sent his cock. Oh, God. What is happening? He's going wild in the text messages now. Fuck. He's busted nuts twice in a single text string? Lord. I'm gonna come. I'm gonna send it on Instagram. It's not letting me send videos here. What the fuck? That's cum, babe. I hope he, like, came into a glass or something, or like a petri dish and stirs it around like a whole lesson. Ah, madame, this is splooge. Also known as semen. Many other names. Basically, whenever it feels so good to the point where I can't take it anymore, that's what happens, yes, the milk, the cream. Holy shit. You weren't kidding, this is really, like, fucking bad. And then the fact that he actually shows up, this is actually horrible. Oh no! He's becoming self-aware! He starts to recognize, like, shit, These could actually be screenshotted. Oh, and then from that concern, immediately back into, like, playing the health teacher. I know your body is growing and starting to develop. That's why I agreed to this. I want to be your first, little cute ass. Want to bend you over my table and oh! Just want to throw you on my bed and lick you up. Oh! What the fuck? This is worse than, like, 50 Shades of Grey writing, and that shit's horrible. They unironically use the term, like, sodden panties in that book. What do you think about that? I like that conclusion, as if you just dropped the mic. Yes, I want to fuck your fucking butthole. I want to butt fuck your pussy. So what do you think? Will you invest in my company? Like it's Shark Tank? That's probably the face he made when he went to meet her in person, and it was just two dudes with a camera. That's probably the exact face he wore right there. That's like a YouTube shocked thumbnail. Of course, real vaginas don't produce lube. Is he a virgin? It's not like vaginas are just dry. It's not like sticking your cock into, like, sandpaper. Maybe he just means, like, it doesn't produce Astroglide or something, like a specific lube brand. Like, they don't have, like, it's not like Spider-Man's webs, like in The Amazing Spider-Man, where you have to, like, put new web slingers in there for vaginal lube. But vaginas actually do get lubricated themselves. They're like a self-lubricating apparatus, really. Kiss your daddy goodnight. Sleep tight, princess. So this is when he finally started to believe this could all be a fucking setup. As if there wasn't an entire fucking 3 seasons of an extremely popular show all about this exact same thing. Even being fully aware of this very real possibility. Literally for like the 10,000th time in this conversation. Yeah, I guess every time he busted a nut, he started to realize this could all be fucking fake and a setup. But then after post-nut clarity faded away, he went right back to the, let me suck your fucking toes and take a shit.
Here, he doesn't want to be...
Let's go have a talk. How about on that bench right there?
Okay.
Can we give him a lav mic so we get better audio? Let's really go in here. Put this on, EDP.
Right here? Coming out here to...
Glasses off.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Well, I was actually coming out here to pick up a cupcake and then go back home.
Oh, okay.
There was...
Do they sell cupcakes in this driveway?
Oh, okay. So you should title a video instead of, your video almost threw hands with a 13-year-old. You should title your video almost hands with a 13-year-old. I think that'll get a lot of hits, EDP.
I think so.
Yeah.
Oh.
So this is you.
Good one. So he's got like a whole little routine prepared.
What made you? So you initiated conversation with a 13-year-old knowing she was 13. Yes or no?
Correct.
Okay. So is that a good?
That guy in the background's trying so hard to seem like he's not listening.
You've been exposed for this before.
Correct.
And you called them, but this is damning.
Right.
I had to make sure myself. Right. Do you recognize me?
No.
Okay. I had to make sure myself.
Well, that didn't really work. You don't have the Chris Hansen prestige yet.
Me and my friend Keisha.
Do you know who I am? Nope.
Hilarious, man.
Okay, that hurt.
What I don't understand, why are you attracted to like 13-year-olds? Like, why are you attracted to underage?
That's a good question, yes. Why do you like children?
In one of the...
Asking the hard-hitting questions.
You've always wanted to be with someone younger. Like, you like cops.
Right.
Like, what goes through your head?
They should have rehearsed a little bit, like, what they want to ask.
Real, man.
What goes on...
So why are you a pedophile?
There's loneliness, dude. I'll be completely honest with you, man.
Do what Chris Hansen does. He does a really good job with interviews.
Like, we're not like that. We're not like that. We're not attracted to minors.
Bro, come on, man. You know exactly what it is, dude. Okay?
No, we're attracted to female our own age, dude.
Let this be known. Let this be known. I am not a...
So what are you? If you're here to meet up with a 13-year-old girl after sending...
He hit it up like it was a catchphrase. Hey, not a pedophile.
A guy that is...
But we can forward this to cops because most definitely this is not your first time either, right?
Right.
This is absolutely not.
Whoa.
This actually is my first time.
You just said it wasn't your first time.
Yeah, that was a bit rough on that one, EDP.
So first time was...
You've done this before, yes.
So
I mean, no, though.
Right?
Yeah.
So now, as far as the whole fantasy goes, you know what I mean? Let's be real, okay? You know what I mean?
Like, what does that mean? Stop saying you know what I mean.
Don't know what you mean. Sexual fantasies, that's what I mean.
Okay, so sexual, and I'm not calling you the P word, if you know what I'm talking about.
Look at these screenshots.
I'm not calling you the P word.
Yeah, but you know what I mean.
Do you fantasize about females under the age of 16, yes or no? Sometimes.
Yes.
Okay.
What are you doing? Holy shit.
You fantasize about a 13-year-old, correct, yes or no? Correct. Okay.
Holy shit. This is fucking rough. Holy shit.
I know, but you said earlier it was your first time. Like,
okay.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so we'll get to that. So you said, so 13 is the fantasy. Like for me, okay, 18, I think there's hot 18-year-olds. I wouldn't do anything with a 17-year-old,
right.
But there's hot 17-year-olds. Right. But I don't go, yeah, when I see a 17-year-old. I'm just like, I can't do it. Like, right. It's just not right.
What are you going on about?
Maybe about 7 months ago.
This is just an extremely long confession. He's not fighting any of this.
So what was it that made you realize?
Holy shit.
For example, it's a bad analogy. You know, like if there's a hot 19-year-old into me, I'm like, oh, awesome. But if there's like, I shouldn't say there's such thing as a hot 12-year-old. But if there's a 12-year-old into me, a 13-year-old.
Jesus Christ.
Never. So what makes it okay to you for you to come here?
It doesn't make it okay. I'm just being honest with you. The screenshots, of course, I did. I mean,
but like, why would you send it to a 13-year-old? Like, and that proves that you were turned on by it.
Well, he said that a million times. We know that.
Because you were hard when you were doing. Obviously, yes or no. So
he said that millions of times. I read it.
What were you gonna do when you came here?
I felt like I knew his cock pretty well by the end of those messages.
Honestly,
Chris Hansen did it very well. Chris Hansen was a beautiful weapon against pedophiles, but YouTubers are not. Like, the only reason this video even surfaced is because they were finally able to get full ads on it. If this video never got ads, this wouldn't have even come out. They would have just let it ride, or let it die. They're really just in it for, like, views to exploit bad people like EDP. This one seems staged. Okay, I can tell you this one is definitely not staged because his entire YouTube career has ended. This one is definitely not one of those fake ones. I can assure you of that. Like, even the interview it's not even an interview. The questions are, so you're a pedophile, why? I also like hot girls, but if they're 17, it's like, they're hot, but, you know, I can't do that. It's like, what are you fucking talking about? Like, you should have just taken Chris Hansen's script. You know, not this. Did they call the cops? That's what I don't know. Like, I don't know if they even get law enforcement involved. If you take their word for it, they do. But I don't know. I don't know enough about them, so I couldn't tell you yes or no. I would hope so. Like, if they went through all this effort, did a full investigation, and didn't give it to authorities, they should also be at some level responsible for, like, endangering minors to allow someone like that to continue doing their shit. So I would think that it would go to law enforcement at some point.
Okay. But this isn't the first minor you've talked to before, correct?
Right.
And there was more than one minor.
Holy shit.
Last summer I've had all these females reach out to me about you. And, you know, at first I was like, okay, attention. Honestly, I was. But then I see more and more and more. And I see you saying, if anybody finds out about this, you're
oh, what a good way of looking at that. Hey, I was manipulated and abused by this guy. Attention, whore.
Ballpark number of how many minors you've talked to. Like, you know, obviously it's been 5. So after 5, what would you say the number is?
6.
6? 6 minors. 6. Name them.
6? Holy shit.
There's what was her name?
Is he just making this up? Because he's like actively making everything worse. I feel like he's just making up names.
Like, yo, what the f, dude? Like, real talk, man.
Obviously, you didn't go what the F because you're talking to a 13-year-old.
Right.
I believe you did know her age before, yes or no?
Wrong. How old was the girl? Which one?
This is unreal.
What about the cameo? I believe. Oh, you mean the cameo one, right?
The one where you talked about
the boyfriend hit you up for the cameo.
Send you private.
Thanks the prime, Matt.
probably 14, maybe 15. I'm not sure. But
So
that
that's
was
number 2.
So
Seeing this really makes me appreciate Chris Hansen's work even more.
You do explain why you find her attractive, but I was just trying to...
I guess I never even stopped to consider how hard it must be to do something like this.
Girl number 3, girl number 4.
This is so long for no reason. They're saying nothing. They're not actually interviewing him.
Yourself in all these situations where you're in
Okay, I'm just gonna skip a little bit. Do you guys mind if I skip a little bit? This is really bad.
Like I thought it was last time.
You're soliciting child photos from this girl. Right. That's another charge, you know that, right? Right. Do you know how many charges you did here today? 3. More than that.
What, you counted them like Pokemon cards? Three charges, collecting them all?
2 counts of graphic photos. You asked for graphic photos from this girl, and you came here to engage in sexual activity with a 13-year-old.
Well, hold on. This is like an actual question. Like, this is actually hitting him with something. Actually something.
They're not misdemeanors. They're not infractions.
Hold on, let me see where this goes.
They're felonies. So
then you were also a little bit submissive to her, yes or no?
So what?
You were a little bit submissive to her, yes or no?
I was.
Do you like being? Do you have a fantasy? So you did make you fantasize about 13-year-olds, yes or no? Right. Okay. Do you also fantasize?
This guy's like the only guy that's actually trying to go somewhere with this.
What about a 13-year-old?
And you have the audacity to say, "Please don't do this." Are you serious? We should be asking you, please don't do this to minors.
I mean, he's like that guy, or the girl in Game of Thrones walking around with the bells. Shame. Shame.
Apartments?
He's calling a friend right now.
Yeah, he's at the apartments.
Well, yeah, he needs to get picked up.
Right now, Philip.
Just please come.
What are you panicking for? He's clearly calling a friend to get the fuck out of there. He's trying to get extracted from the mission.
Right by the jacket.
Okay, please come quick. He's calling. It looks like he's calling some backup. Okay, all right.
Oh, this guy sucks. Looks like he's calling some backup.
So be sure to subscribe to the channel, turn on your notifications. We have a ton of new viewers. It'll help us a ton. We flew.
I knew there was
going
to be a subscriber call to action.
EDP. So be sure to subscribe.
Yeah, I knew that was coming. Okay. So that is fucking rough. That was a lot worse than I thought it'd be. EDP got fucking blasted. Yeah. The investigation, I think, was a very good thing done by very bad people. I did also see this one. The things this guy says are really bad. Like, racist, all kinds of horrible shit from this guy. And a lot of people have taken note of it, but not everyone. I don't think this guy should be gaining so many subs for this shit. He did a good thing, and he tried his best to make a lot of money off it and capitalize on it, constantly calling for subscribe actions, refusing to post the video till it has full ads. So, I think the guy sucks, but what he did was good. And when he's talking to this guy in particular, he keeps talking about how... So, I'll break it down. The guy here is suicidal. He gets caught and he starts talking about how he's suicidal, he's tried to kill himself a couple of times, and in response, this guy says, you can't kill yourself because you're Jewish. That'd be a hate crime. What are you, some kind of Jewish Nazi? And then he keeps saying that for like 5 minutes. Like, that's his whole joke. He has like a little stand-up routine about why this guy shouldn't kill himself because he's Jewish. It's horrible. I actually, before finishing this up, I do want to look them up one more time. They claim that they've done this before, and the chat has told me that they've had people arrested. I want to see that. Okay. Let me just immediately show you why I doubt that these guys actually care and are doing this for a good cause. Just going to their website. This is the first thing. Before you get anything else, you get payment plans. This is fucked up. So now where can I find out their track record? Have they actually gotten bad people off of the streets? Or do I have to pay to get that information? Holy shit. Making merch for hunting pedophiles. That's so weird. What does that merch even consist of? It's gonna be like one of those, like, cool dad shirts, like, I'm a veteran, I didn't fight in wars for you to look at my daughter, I'll put you in the ground. It's gonna be like one of those. I hunt pedophiles for views on YouTube. Or for money on YouTube, excuse me. At least Anxiety War. I do know the channel. At least they seem to actually want to do something good. And being successful is just... It came with the turf for them. Like Chris Hansen. Though I wouldn't really compare Anxiety War to Chris Hansen. But what I'm saying is at least they seem to be in it for a good reason. And there's also no information on the site except for buying things. I just wanted to know, do they have any proof that their investigations and this content they've made has actually gotten anyone arrested, put away, off the streets, anything? A lot of you said that they did, so I'm just wondering where you found that information. Who wouldn't want to walk around with a shirt that says Predator Poacher Hunters Club? That'd be pretty cool. So the first thing that comes up when I look this up, vigilante investigation creates issues for prosecuting cases. Talking about the predator poachers. Wonderful. There's not a lot that the police can do to sanitize a bad investigation from a legal perspective. So they actively made it difficult to prosecute a pedophile. They're doing the opposite of helping. Yes, here's the main difference. Something I talk about. Things like To Catch a Predator is done in collaboration with the law enforcement. So that way it's done in the right way so that they can actually face legal ramifications. Okay, so here's a positive one. I don't know if this is the same group because the guy behind it asked to be uncredited and unnamed, which does not sound like the predator poacher guy at all. But a vigilante predator hunter got 2 people arrested, and one of the charges stuck. I don't think this is the same group though because the guy explicitly asked to not be named, whereas this guy wants all of the limelight possible for as much money as possible. So I don't even know if that's the same guy. But if it is, something has really changed along the way. That was in March of last year. Yeah, the benefit here is, as opposed to the other ones, EDP was a public figure that was preying on children. So even if he doesn't get any legal charges, which I think the evidence is there that should work, even if he doesn't, he's now lost the platform where he was preying on kids. So that in and of itself is a good thing. I would normally agree with that, Nobud, but the thing is he was using his public platform to prey on people. So he should be publicly shown in this light, so that way people can avoid him. I think that is very much the right way of handling this case in particular, to make it all public. I don't think anyone's sympathizing with the predator. It's really just a matter of the person who caught the predator is so unlikable that you can't help but mention it when talking about the story. I really don't think there's anyone on EDP's side. Everything he said and did is deplorable. But when you have the guy who caught the predator saying, like, quickly get here, he's calling for backup, you can't help but be like, holy shit, not only is the pedophile evil, but this guy's also evil. Like, you know what I mean? It's hard to just focus on one guy when they're both bad. I've said for a long time, Hollywood is an evil place. Not exactly a brave take, no one's gonna be gasping or have their jaw on the floor, but you might be questioning, Charles, how can you even say that? You yourself are a Hollywood superstar thanks to your game-changing performance as District 8 hospital helper in The Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 1. Isn't it a bit hypocritical to say Hollywood's evil when you yourself were a large part of the reason Hollywood is successful thanks to reinvigorating public interest in cinema? Due to your exceptional acting as the District 8 hospital helper and single-handedly carrying the Hunger Games franchise on your extremely strong back, a back that's built like a Greek god and Adonis, if I was to lat spread right now I'd look like a bat, the same franchise that's responsible for springboarding Jennifer Lawrence's career but only because they cut out most of my scenes as the District 8 hospital helper because they overshadowed hers, and of course, you're not wrong, my sweet sunflower, but it's because of this level of expertise with a performance like mine, District 8 Hospital Helper, which is still widely studied across all theatrical colleges across the nation, that I am able to say with a high level of confidence that I know just how corrupt and evil Hollywood is from the inside. It is rotten to its very core. And it's extremely nice to see that most people are really waking up to how fucked up Hollywood is as an industry. Now, I covered the writer's strike when it started about 3 months ago now, almost 3 months ago, and I want to just give a follow-up to where things are at because it's not improved, and in fact it is only escalating, and now it's more than just the WGA that's gone on strike. Now, SAG-AFTRA has joined the party as well and are striking too, and a lot of the actors are standing with the writers here. So it's really bubbling into this giant, witch's cauldron stew here. It's like when all of the characters of an action movie come together at the end to fight the big bad guys. It's just this big team-up moment. So all the writers are coming together with a lot of actors standing beside them in order to finally get what they deserve from the industry. For those that don't know why they're striking, it's actually pretty simple. I'm just going to boil it down to, like, the bare necessities here. Their pay is not what it should be for the work they do for these productions. Writers are invaluable to the industry, period. I know there's a lot of brain rot on Twitter that's arguing the opposite, and they keep using the example of, if writers are so important, why is there such thing as bad writing? Checkmate. They don't deserve to get paid more for writing like this, and then they'll drop an example of shit writing from something like Forspoken, which isn't even like a Hollywood production, but some of the writers that are in these unions are also working on video games, so I guess that's the point they're making. Actual little Neanderthal brain takes of, this writing is bad, so that all writers are useless. In fact, let me write it. It'll be 10 times better. And their only experience writing is fucking summer book reports in middle school. It's just a stupid take. Of course there's going to be better writing than others, right? But it doesn't mean that all writers are useless or something. It's just natural. It's the same thing with like athletes. There's going to be some athletes that are better than other athletes. It's just one of those things. So yeah, there's going to be bad writing. Doesn't mean they don't deserve to get fucking paid for their work. It's just stupid. It's beyond dumb. Writers are one of the most important positions to any production, full stop, 100%. And their pay has not reflected this. They're not being fairly compensated for their work, and they haven't been for a long time. They don't have a lot of options in terms of like royalties either. It's just very unfair to writers. And obviously the entire industry has been changing with streaming becoming more and more prevalent, and they're just falling behind on keeping writers adequately compensated. In fact, their pay has fallen, and they're not getting any like real reasonable profit shares or splitting or anything like that. They're just not being paid fairly. That's the bottom line there with the first component of this strike. So they've been trying to have conversations with the top brass in the industry in order to rectify this, reach some kind of amicable conclusion so they can get fairly compensated for the work that they love doing and want to keep doing. But that hasn't really happened, so they were left with no other options except going on strike. And another big component of this is AI. As AI continues to evolve rapidly, a lot of the soulless money zombies at the top of the Hollywood food chain have taken notice and have recognized that if they start to integrate AI into their productions, they can save a lot of money by not having to pay writers' salaries or pay writers. They could just start using AI in order to get their desired result. It's cheaper, they have more control over it, and clearly the WGA as well as SAG-AFTRA, like pretty much all writers, have a bit of an issue with that. So that was another one of their points, is they would really like if they didn't just fucking blast AI into the industry to try and like phase them out. Like they don't want the AI trained on their works. They don't want any of their works to be used to try and develop some kind of AI model off of it. So those are really the big things. And this has been going on for about 3 months now, and the response from the big boys has not been positive. So according to reports, they are determined to break the WGA, and now by extension SAG-AFTRA, since they're also striking at the moment. So their in-game, according to the executives and the insiders here, is to allow things to drag on until union members start losing their apartments and losing their houses. They call it a cruel but necessary evil. This is par for the course for Hollywood. This really tracks. Anything evil that can be done, Hollywood does. So they're playing hardball here. They're not giving in to any demands. They're not budging an inch. They're saying, hey, might be a cold Christmas, and you might not be able to afford to have a place to live anymore, because fuck your demands. So they're saying, like, the strategy is simple. Bleed them out. You know, when they're financially strapped for cash and desperate, starving on the streets, then they'll come crawling back to us, groveling at our feet, and then we'll dictate some new terms that they won't be able to decline, but we're not giving in to any of what they want. Now, in a sane world, I would really think most people would be behind the writers, because, I mean, it makes sense. They're not getting paid nearly as much as they should for the work they do for these massive 9-figure productions that are raking in hundreds of millions of dollars, and the writers are the ones that, like, make the story happen, the most important part. Like, you can't just have a movie of fucking nothing. You can't go in there and just have, like, a bunch of noise, right? It's not TikTok. It's not you're going to the theater for jingling keys for 10 hours. You need a story still. The writers are integral. Thus, they should be compensated fairly for it. But we don't live in a sane world. We live in a clown world. So there is a ton of people on Twitter that are saying that the writers are unreasonable and that the executives are in the right here. The executives are the heroes in the story and the writers are the bad guys, which blew my fucking mind. The fucking goofball goober CEO of Disney, Bob, said that the writer is very disturbing to him, having a wambulance moment, some fucking French cries, going over like, oh, I can't believe they're striking. It's so unrealistic. You're ruining the industry, guys. Why do you want more money? How could you be so greedy? Coming from a guy who's making $20 million a year annually, the writers are extremely important. And coming from someone like this with a salary like that, I don't know who on Twitter who could read these stories and then start pumping their fists saying, yes, those are the good guys. Those are the heroes of the story, the champions of justice. The fucking soulless husks with unimaginable wealth that are exploiting their workers, fucking their butt with a smile on their face. It makes no sense to me because, again, most people on Twitter are either children or normal working class people, not multimillionaire celebrities. So how can you, as like a normal working class person, be excited and celebrate that other working class people like yourself are being exploited? It actually just doesn't compute up here in my noodle how you reached that part of decay in your mind. Like, why wouldn't you want the workers to get paid more? Why would you want the wealthy executives to continue to nickel and dime all of their employees in order for them to make more tens of millions per year on their annual salary? Like, I don't get how, like, a normal person sides with them. Like, they're not going to give you money just because you're fighting PR battles for them on Twitter. Dumbass Disney CEO Bob's not going to find your Twitter account and start clapping for you. He's not going to just swoop in there and be like, you know what, Jacob? I am so glad you made this tweet. You're right. It is unreasonable and downright criminal that our writers want more money. It does. Where did we all go wrong as a society? Wanting some kind of profit sharing or some other compensation? It is ridiculous, Jacob, and you are right. Here's $5 million. Give me your PayPal. It's not going to happen. Like, I don't know why you're blaming writers either. There's a lot of people getting mad at writers because now their favorite shows are being affected, so they're going on a hiatus and a break because there's no one writing it. And now they're getting mad at the writers, like, just go back to doing your fucking jobs. When what they're trying to do is what every worker tries to do. Get paid fairly for the work they do. Like, I just don't understand who could be against that. I really don't. Honestly, I don't. So I just wanted to give you an update here because the writing strike is only continuing to grow here, and it's going to continue to grow until either they come to the table and start to negotiate, or all of the shows get drastically affected by the situation here. It's already affected a ton of productions, and it's only going to continue if they can't reach some kind of deal here, or some kind of peaceful resolution or something. So just wanted to keep you updated on that because this is a story I actively follow, and yeah, that's really about it. So yeah. I just watched an extremely interesting case presented by the Law and Crime Trial Network that I just had to share with all of you because it really feels like the plot line to a late 90s soap opera. It's got an evil wife, and let me tell you, she's a real battle axe, and she's hatched a nefarious plan to poison her husband for life insurance money, allegedly. I hate that I have to use the word here because the overwhelming amount of video evidence and everything makes it very clear that that's what was going on, but apparently you gotta say that word when talking about something like this. But anyway, that's not where the whole story stops because the husband becomes aware of it, but can't act on it right away, so has to continue to play along with the woman that's actively trying to kill him. And then when he eventually takes it to authorities, they initially don't act on it, so then he has to gather even more evidence. It's just so fucking wild, and I just have to show this to all of you, because this really does feel almost make-believe. It feels like something Darman would write, if instead of making, don't judge a book by its cover videos, he made murder mysteries.
A military wife is now charged with attempted first-degree homicide after her husband allegedly caught her on camera pouring bleach into his coffee maker. He says it was all to get life insurance benefits.
It really does make me giggle every time allegedly is thrown out in a case like this where you can actually just watch it happen on the fucking Jumbotron. And especially with this one because the husband was super thorough with all of the hidden cameras he set up. So you can get like a 360-degree video of all the poisoning attempts. You got every goddamn cinematic angle imaginable. And yet still, allegedly poisoning attempts. Again, I fully understand why they have to keep saying that word here because she hasn't been found guilty in court yet of all of the charges. But I mean, it's pretty clear. The answer to this game of Clue is Feliciano in the kitchen with the bleach and coffee maker. Like, we can tell.
The man, quote, suspected someone was tampering with his coffee, and in May 2023, while still in Germany, he set up a camera in his house. The husband alleged his wife used bleach as a form of poison, storing the chemical under the sink.
This is one of many videos that capture her pouring bleach into his coffee pot. So he became alert to something a bit off about his coffee and suspected tampering with it. And I imagine he was able to taste something was wrong immediately. Bleach is like one of the most agitating chemicals you can ever fucking ingest. Like, coffee is not going to disguise it. It's not like the perfect Trojan horse to deliver bleach into your system. You'd probably take a single sip and immediately go, pooey, yucko, wow, like, ouch. That doesn't taste like coffee, it tastes like fucking poison. You would have better luck shitting into his coffee pot and hoping he doesn't notice. There's at least a chance coffee can mask poop, but not bleach. Like, even if you have no taste buds, you would probably feel something is wrong with your coffee with bleach being mixed into it. So, immediately, I imagine, he was tipped off that something was very awry here. So he set up the camera. I don't know if he immediately suspected it was his wife. Maybe he thought there was some kind of like burglar coming in to fuck with him and pour bleach into his coffee pot or something. I don't know if he immediately started to point fingers at his wife. I imagine he probably did, because I mean, who the fuck else is going to break in there and pour coffee or pour bleach into the coffee? Unless it's like the Tooth Fairy out for revenge or something. So I don't know how surprised he was to see that, but I still imagine that that was traumatizing to know that the person that you are married to, the person that is the most important person in your life, is actively trying to kill you.
Court documents state that at the time, during May 2023, the husband, quote, stopped drinking the coffee but continued to pretend to drink it as he did not want to make a report of this while in Germany. He said he knew his wife would continue poisoning him and wanted to submit a report while in the US.
This is such an interesting conundrum. So he didn't want to make the report while in Germany and continues to fake drink the coffee, playing a game of pretend here, and then also, I assume, pretending that everything's okay in the marriage between them, even though he knows in the back of his head his fucking wife is trying to kill him. And his wife doesn't know that he knows, so she continues to make attempts to poison him. When I try and picture this situation in my head, I immediately just start thinking about the movie Mr. and Mrs. Smith, but without, like, the guns. So instead of, like, dumping lead at each other, shooting at each other, it's his wife really insisting on trying the coffee. A new recipe, perhaps. So, and he's just like, oh, this is good, very good, but he knows.
1 month later, in late June, the family returned to the United States and was stationed at an Air Force base in Tucson, Arizona. At that point, additional cameras were set up. Video captures Feliciano Johnson pour something into the coffee pot and look over her shoulder to see if anyone is watching. By early July, her husband reported his findings to the Tucson Police Department.
So this ruse continued for over a month, with the husband pretending to keep drinking the coffee, giving his best Oscar-winning acting performance. Honey, this coffee is so good. Wow, delectable. Rubbing his tummy, all of that. I also can't help but wonder if he tried to, like, mess with her a little bit. Not trying to poison her, obviously, but, like, make her believe that the poison was working? Like, did he start faking a sickness or something? Did he start, making it seem as though he was falling ill in order to see how she'd respond? Like, he just, puts a thermometer in his mouth and he's, like, looking real pale and he's like, oh, babe, I don't know what's going on. I'm not feeling too good. Making a bunch of, like, coughing noises to see how she reacts to it, to try and catch her with, like, joy in her eye that her plan is working. Or if he just simply kept drinking this, or pretending to drink the coffee, and his wife must have thought that he was fucking immortal, just legitimately immune to poison. Which is a pretty scary thought, and pretty concerning considering he lived with her and went through this for over a month now, with someone actively trying to murder him. And if she really thought that bleach had no effect on him, like he was just built different, bleach doesn't work, I just would be worried that she'd try other things that maybe he didn't pick up on, or wouldn't have picked up on if it continued, you know what I mean? But anyway, he gathered all this evidence and then he brought it to the authorities.
Showed the officers at the front desk the video, but since you could not clearly see what she was pouring into the coffee maker, the report was taken with no follow-up. At that point, he purchased additional cameras disguised as fire alarms. He set them up in the laundry room and in the kitchen area where the coffee maker was located.
So it wasn't actionable evidence because they couldn't clearly see what she was pouring into the coffee maker. So the guy says, alright, fuck it, check this out then. You need more? I got you with more. So he sets up a ton of cameras, gets every possible angle here. He's got so many cameras set up, he could probably render his whole house in VR with this kind of setup. So he's got everything covered. Now you can clearly see that she's pouring bleach into the coffee maker in certain videos. And he even goes a step further by conducting his own at-home experiments to confirm his theory.
Normal. I smell it. I can smell it. I can smell it. Soapy. Tea. You're gonna see purple. Boom.
Science, bitch. Now we're Breaking Bad here. So he's got even more proof, not only with the video evidence of his wife pouring bleach into his coffee pot, but now he is confirming the presence of the bleach in the coffee pot even after having it drained all day and all of that. Now he has an overwhelming amount of proof against his wife.
Feliciano Johnson was caught on camera multiple times, appearing to pour bleach in the laundry room, walking it into the next room, and then pouring it into the coffee maker. After collecting multiple videos that showed her allegedly pouring the bleach into the machine, Feliciano Johnson was arrested on July 18th.
I'm assuming she did all of this while the husband wasn't home because she is pouring the bleach in the laundry room and walking it to the kitchen, so literally walking through the house with bleach in her hand. If the husband ever saw that, she would immediately know that he would know that something is really fucking foul going on here. Why are you transporting bleach around the house? Like, what could possibly be the excuse, you know? Oh, babe, you're home. It's great to see you. What do you mean, why is the bleach in my hand? Oh, actually, I just wanted you to just take a peek at it real quick. Just tell me, does the bleach smell weird? Splash. You know, like, there's really not a whole lot of wiggle room for an excuse on why you're transporting bleach from the laundry room to the coffee maker. So, again, I assume he just wasn't present for it. But then it makes it really interesting watching the footage here because she keeps looking over her shoulder. So it's an interesting look into the human psyche and kind of just basic human instinct, where when you're doing something fucked up, when you're doing something diabolical, for some reason, you just can't help but double check your surroundings to make sure no one's peeking in on you, even when you're completely alone. Anyway, just something I felt like pointing out. Overall, I'm happy to see the husband didn't get poisoned, and I'm happy to see she got arrested and is now facing these charges here. So hopefully justice will be served. I can't imagine a world where all of this evidence is presented and they're like, inconclusive. It's fine. You're overreacting. You're out of order, Buster. Your wife was just making you some real nice coffee with the extra flavor juice to it. So I imagine she will likely face serious time for this. I mean, it's attempted first-degree homicide, apparently. So, or allegedly, excuse me. So yeah, I just wanted to share this story because I just found it to be super fascinating. But yeah, that's about it. So yeah. I went over to my family's house for dinner a couple nights ago, and my father was raving and couldn't stop talking about a case I'd never heard of that apparently has just wrapped up. The Alex Murdaugh murder case. And in fact, it extends beyond that. The entire Murdaugh family murders. This is a very high-profile case that I just hadn't heard of until my father started lecturing me on it like I had just taken a criminology course. He apparently followed every single piece of evidence that dropped. He watched every trial, everything. My dad studied the tits off of this case like he was going there to prosecute Alex Murdaugh himself. And it piqued my interest. It made me want to learn more about it. So I went to the best goddamn channel on YouTube for things like this, Legal Eagle. Legal Eagle recently made a full, beautiful breakdown going over every single piece of evidence and every single key point in the entire Murdaugh history. So I'm going to put a link to that in the description, but I just kind of wanted to share it with all of you because this is one of the more deep and disturbing cases I've learned about in quite a while. So I just wanted to share kind of the gist of it with all of you, but I highly recommend watching Legal Eagle's video on it if you want to learn the most about it and see how everything unfolded. You see the Murdaugh murders. So my dad just told me about that. I didn't know anything about it. And he was apparently embezzling money for a long time, a pathological liar, an oxy addict, and he snapped and killed his son and wife. My dad was telling me all about it, apparently. Or, not apparently, my dad was telling me all about it. Apparently, it was a wild case, and I didn't hear shit about it. Yeah, apparently the prosecutors had a video that the son had recorded that proved that Alex Murdaugh was lying about his whereabouts on the night of the murders. So I guess the story was they were killed at like the dog kennels on their property. Alex Murdaugh claimed that he wasn't there that night at the kennels, and he had like a couple alibis because they had his whole phone record. Apparently he called a ton of people to try and get a couple alibis. And eventually the prosecutors showed a video that his son had recorded literally minutes before he was murdered. His son he killed also got in a boat accident that killed a girl named Mallory Beach, and also was the only witness to his housekeeper dying, and he embezzled her life insurance. Oh, what the fuck?
Close. Los Angeles area double murder expert O.J. Simpson predicted that the Alec Murdaugh jury would acquit the Low Country lawyer of double murder. It turns out that Simpson's powers of prognostication don't really work for murders he wasn't directly involved in.
It wouldn't surprise me in the least if this guy beats this case.
So before I explain...
It's crazy. It is crazy. We have O.J. Simpson on Twitter dropping reaction videos, giving his opinion on how another murderer could potentially beat their case. That blows my mind.
Randolph Murdaugh Sr. was elected solicitor in 1920 and served until he was killed by a freight train in 1940.
Sounds like a murder. That sounds like an actual old western murder where they tied him to the train tracks. Don't know the situation, it literally just sounds like he was murdered.
Now, some people suspected that the freight train incident was a suicide because no one could figure out why Randolph's car stalled on the tracks. But Murdaugh Sr. was succeeded by his son, Randolph Murdaugh Jr., known as Buster, who held the position for 46 years
from
nickname. 1942. On two separate occasions, 20 years apart, he told jurors that if they didn't impose the death penalty on a criminal defendant, he would use his power as solicitor to release other rapists into the community. Yes, you heard that right.
What?
It's hard to imagine a worse thing a prosecutor could say in court, but I'm sure prosecutors have.
And he got to keep the position? He would make these threats like, okay, if he doesn't get the death penalty, 5 rapists will go into Gotham. He sounds like the Joker. What? Elected official, so he just campaigns and pays off the right people? Yeah, but I'm sure there's still systems in place where if you're threatening to release rapists out of like a grudge, you can get fired. Like you can get like taken out. Like you lose your position, I would think. Because it was the 70s. It's not like rape was cool in the 70s either. I'm sure people weren't like rallying behind him like, yeah, that's fucking Buster right there. That's how Buster plays. Give the death penalty. Or 50 rapists. Buster, release 50 rapists into the neighborhood. The guy really had rapists in the queue to join the server. Oh, you're talking about Buster still, yeah. I'm just going to take a guess that the other Murdochs didn't use the same tactic.
Alex Murdaugh, the now convicted murderer, is Randolph III's son.
All of this information is to show you that the entire Murdaugh line is fucking evil, basically. Now that you're brought up to speed on where Alex Murdaugh comes from, let's talk about his kids, because his kids are no saints. Legal Eagle goes into more detail surrounding some of these cases, but I'd just like to give you a quick breakdown. If you want more information, obviously watch his video on it. But one of Alex's sons, Buster, who is named after, of course, Buster Murdaugh, who came before him, is actually a person of interest in a 2015 death. A young man named Stephen Smith was found dumped on a Hampton County road. There wasn't a whole lot of indicators to suggest that this was a vehicle crash, and in fact was even ruled a homicide by a couple of people, most notably the county coroner. And interestingly, Buster Murdaugh is mentioned dozens of times in the investigation. Also, Alex Murdaugh and his brother Randy visited the crime scene, passing through the crime scene tape, and there were rumors that Buster Murdaugh and Stephen Smith were in some kind of relationship, and this case actually just got reopened after the entire Alex Murdaugh investigation. So that's all a bit peculiar. That doesn't seem good. Something smells very fishy over there with Buster Murdaugh, and he's not the only one. In fact, Alex Murdaugh's other son, Paul. In 2019, Paul and his friends were partying on a boat. At one point, his friends say Paul and his girlfriend got in an argument where Paul assaulted her, and then eventually the night culminated with the boat crashing, everyone surviving except one person, Mallory Beach. Paul was blamed for the death because he was fucking driving the boat. He received 2 charges, 1 boating under the influence causing great bodily harm, and 1 boating under the influence causing death. So as you can see, the Murdaugh family is known for more than just financial crimes. There's a lot of death linked to the family as well. And there's still more. There's still one that I haven't even talked about, one that happened before Alex Murdaugh killed his son and wife. In 2018, their housekeeper Gloria Satterfield allegedly tripped over one of their dogs and fell down the stairs and died at their hunting lodge. Alex Murdaugh then instructed Gloria Satterfield's sons to sue him for insurance money. However, he neglected to inform them that he had already collected on 2 settlements and basically robbed them of about $4.3 million from the insurance here. The man is just pure evil, just a shriveled, pruny, fucking ghost-looking motherfucker whose entire bloodline seems cursed and is nothing but bad news. It is disgusting.
His lawyer said he planned to sue Alex and Maggie personally, because they allegedly kept a beer refrigerator at the hunting lodge and underage kids were free to drink up. Given the scale of Alex's financial crimes, discovery of his assets would have revealed years of Murdaugh's criminality. Later that same night, Alex allegedly found Paul and Maggie dead outside the kennels at the Murdaugh's sprawling hunting estate.
I'm really trying to break this down into the most concise form possible just to convey like the general story of the situation, but again, I can't recommend checking out Legal Eagle's full video on it for the absolute best breakdown. In a nutshell, years and years and millions upon millions of dollars of stolen money and financial crimes were about to be brought to light, all of which Alex Murdaugh was panicked about. So the main theory behind his motive for killing Paul and his wife Maggie is he needed some way of buying time to weasel his way out of this situation. I shit you not. The murder of his son Paul and wife Maggie, right now the leading theory is he did it for sympathy, to portray himself as a victim, and to basically just buy himself some extra time to get out of the situation because all of these financial crimes that have built up over years were about to be fucking blasted publicly. All of it was going to come to light. So that was his plan. Now, Paul was murdered before he ever stood trial for the death of Mallory Beach. But I'm getting a little ahead of the story because there was one other baffling situation that occurred involving a hired hitman that Alex himself hired to shoot and kill him so his other son could get his insurance money.
So Alex admitted to stealing from Chris and blamed his behavior on an opioid addiction. And then hours later, that same day after that conversation with Chris, Alex was shot in the head. Yes. Seriously. Does this seem like a far-fetched Netflix series yet?
So, now we're at the part that I know. Everything that preceded this, fucking wild. No clue. But now we're getting into the part that my dad was talking about, and now I'm kind of in the know on where all this goes. Chat just educated me about this, so I have the spoilers here. But I guess I won't drop the spoilers. But I see now what has happened and how things have got to this point.
Yes, but I mean, I'm okay.
Alex later admitted that he hired his cousin Eddie to shoot him. So Alex's remaining son Buster could
get the life
collect on a
insurance.
$10 million life insurance policy. But apparently cousin Eddie wasn't up to the job because the gunshot
Good picture,
wound was
National
just a blaze
Lampoon.
that temporarily blinded Alex. Eddie would also turn out to be Alex's oxycodone dealer. Alex later admitted that he stole from his law partners and clients to fund his addiction to painkillers. According to
Hold on, then my dad's calling me about the Murdoch shit that I just sent him with this. Hold on. Yeah, well, did you even know about all of the Murdoch shit with his family? Like how his son is most likely responsible for deaths as well?
Yes.
You
And his son, like, was in the boat accident.
yeah, the boat.
The whole deal. I mean, yeah, I know all the background of the whole thing.
Yeah.
And then how he tried to set up, like, his own...
Yeah, I just got to that point. Cousin Eddie to like a hitman to shoot him for the life insurance policy for Buster.
Yeah, and then they fucked that whole thing up.
Okay, I didn't know if you knew any of that because you didn't mention it. That shit's crazy.
Well, see, that's why I haven't been playing any games. I got so into this shit. I'm like, I can't stop. It's like, see, that's why I said this is 10 times better than the goddamn O.J. Simpson.
Yeah, no, this is absolutely wild. I had no idea it was like so deep reaching.
I know. See, that's what I'm telling you. So you think it's pretty cool, right?
Well, cool is like probably a weird word to use for it, but like it's fascinating. Like it feels like it's some kind of crazy movie. Yeah, he's really into the whole Murdoch shit. He got like encyclopedic knowledge on this whole thing apparently. He didn't even mention the family stuff, so I thought that'd be news to him. Yeah, no, this whole family's rotten. Although I haven't heard anything about the mother, so maybe she didn't do anything terrible. I have no idea.
For violent schemes.
Real quick though, was his plan actually to die? Like, did Alex Murdoch hire cousin Eddie, goofball McGee, red-blooded patriot, fucking wild maniac to come shoot him and kill him? That's wild. So his plan was actually to die. He said, come shoot me in the head. And then he survived. He's like, damn it. Time to change plan. Wow. Hey, a lot of things can be said about Alex Murdoch, but God damn it, he gave it 110%. This man was ready to literally kill himself so that way his son could still have some fucking cheated funds. $10 million life insurance policy.
The drug dealer. The trial's biggest bombshell was an unsent Snapchat
Yes,
video.
this is the one that my dad was talking about.
Alex told police he had last seen his son and wife 90 minutes before he found their bodies. Several witnesses testified that they could hear Alex's voice in the background of the video.
Hey, he's got a bird in his mouth. Come here.
Did the Snapchat video influence Alex's decision to testify on his own behalf? Almost certainly yes. The very first
yeah, and I think that is very clearly his voice in the Snapchat video. Very clearly.
thing Alex did on the witness stand was fess up that he lied about being at the kennels. Alex admitted it was his voice on the video.
Were you in fact at the kennels at 8:44 p.m. on the night Maggie and Paul were murdered?
I was.
Did you?
So then he absolutely just admits to a lie right there. I do want to point out, this man's got some wild hair coloration here. This looks like a weird slider in a Dark Souls creator. He looks like a French fry with like some cheese sauce on the top. That shit is going hard.
You lied to Sled Agent Owen and Deputy Laura Rutland on the night of June 7th.
I did lie to them, and I'm so sorry that I did.
Other than lying to them about going to the kennel, I was very
Holy
cooperative
shit.
in every aspect of this investigation. When Alex's brother Randy overheard Alex trying to bribe a nurse to let him use her phone, he thought it was suspicious. And brother Randy called the police, and the story began to unravel.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Sled sketch artist and spent.
Man, this guy just straight up looks evil. He looks actually soulless. Those are some hollow, empty devil eyes right there. 100%. Sometimes people just look the part.
But in an earlier interview with investigators, Alex had actually implicated his groundskeeper. He also told the jury that someone angry about the death of Mallory Beach committed the murders. These inconsistencies undermined Alex's credibility. Then there's the mess with Alex's financial crimes. The prosecution argued that Alex's financial crimes couldn't be separated from the murders because exposure of his vast financial crimes was one of the motives
speaks to his
for killing
characters.
Maggie and Paul.
Well, not only that, I imagine that also helps to demonstrate, like, make a character profile, right? I don't know if that is actually something that's usable in court, but doesn't that also serve to poke holes in the credibility since all of these financial crimes hinged on a bunch of lies and embezzlement and all of that? Or is that not allowed?
Every single one of these, you had to sit down and look someone in the eye and convince them that you were on their side when you were not.
Wow, that's hardball.
Do you remember even one of them?
If you ask me questions, but I can't remember sitting down with Dion.
Alex's response? What I admit is I misled them. I did wrong, and that I stole their money. What Prosecutor Waters was getting at was this. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, Alex Murdaugh is sitting there and looking at you in the eye to convince you of something, but you shouldn't believe him. Just look at how he lied in the past.
That's
Moreover,
strong
Alex
as fuck.
testified that all of his financial bad deeds were caused by his drug habit, which was costing him as much as $60,000 a week. As for the weapons, prosecutors said casings for bullets from a .300 Blackout rifle were found near Maggie's body. And the Murdaughs owned a rifle chambered in .300 Blackout, and the weapon is now missing. Alex also couldn't account for the clothing he was wearing on the day of the murders. His clothes had never been found. His mother's caregiver testified that after the murders, Alex tried to remind her about what he was wearing.
I guess it's easy in hindsight, but I feel like even if I was in the court as this was unfolding, the second it came to that point, both of those in conjunction, I'd be like, well, he fucking did it. Oh, what kind of coincidence is that? Oh, so they were killed with .300 Blackout rounds. Oh, you have a weapon with .300 Blackout. That's a weird coincidence. Can you bring it in so we can just make sure like everything's, all good? Oh, it's missing. Well, what happened to it? Oh, you don't know. Oh. Okay, well, what about your clothes? Can we, like the clothes you were wearing on that night, maybe they picked up some forensic evidence from the real killers. Oh, you lost your clothes. Are you telling me a burglar came in the middle of the night while you were sleeping and took the fucking clothes off your back? Even your dirty goddamn undies, he took them? Oh. Like, what the fuck? This is outrageous.
The speed of the jury's verdict, just 3 hours of deliberation
Oh,
after
nice.
a trial lasting a month and a half.
That's a gold split.
Speaks volumes.
Yeah.
The day after the verdict was read, Alex Murdaugh was sentenced to 2 consecutive life sentences for murdering his wife and son.
I couldn't decide if this was a good idea for a video to make just because of how dark and disturbing it is, but earlier today I saw a thread on Twitter going around listing the most evil artists and musicians of all time, and absent from the list was by far the most evil singer to ever hit the mainstream, Ian Watkins. And I was just shocked that not a lot of people seem to know about this. This was a story I followed as it unfolded back in 2012 because Ian Watkins was the frontman to my favorite band when I was a kid, Lost Prophets. In fact, if there's any archaeologists watching this and want to unearth some unholy relics, if you're able to find any re-uploads of my old Gears of War montages from 2007 and 2008, you'll hear Lost Prophets music that they're set to and edited in sync with. I used their music all the time in videos growing up because I was such a massive fan, so you can imagine how fucking disgusted I was when I learned the truth behind their singer. Ian Watkins' crimes are some of the most depraved I've ever read about, and in fact, the senior investigator said it was the most disturbing child abuse evidence he had seen in nearly 30 years on the force, and it's not an exaggeration. Ian Watkins was a serial child sexual abuser and even convinced some of his fans that were mothers to give up their kids to him to abuse, and would even convince the mothers to abuse their own children on video calls that he'd masturbate to. His sex crimes spanned years and even included the sexual abuse of a 10-month-old baby and attempted rape of a baby. Not only were his crimes some of the worst you could possibly imagine, but he was blatantly open about them as well. He'd even brag about fucking kids to some of his ex-girlfriends at the time. I feel like if the police officers had just asked him, hey, are you having sex with minors? He would have hit them with a, hell yeah, brother, and then went up for a high five. The whole story of Ian Watkins and his arrest is also the story of terrible police work from the department. There were years of reports and people desperately trying to get him behind bars, and they just wouldn't look at the evidence. They refused to look at all of the overwhelming evidence that was constantly being provided to them. The reason he ended up getting arrested was on unrelated drug charges, and they just happened to find this absolute fucking mountain, like a goddamn Mordor. They wandered in there and happened to find all of this child abuse evidence, but they were there for drug reasons and continued to turn the other cheek and ignore all of the reports coming from victims or people that had already compiled evidence and submitted it to them. Now, like I said, he wasn't very secretive with what he was doing. He wasn't exactly like some kind of cunning, sly, criminal mastermind. He was very open with the fact that he was a pedophile. Just look at this excerpt here. Look at one of the passwords he'd use for his computer. Ian Watkins is a sick psychopath who's currently serving 35 years in jail, which isn't nearly enough for his crimes. And he's not remorseful about it either. Like, just read this quote here, where he said he did it for the mega lols, talking about abusing and raping kids. So anyway, after reading that Twitter thread about evil artists and musicians, I really think it's worth talking about this guy and his history, since it seems it flew under the radar for a lot of people. So I'm just going to give a brief summary of everything Ian Watkins and Lost Prophets related. As I mentioned at the beginning, they were my favorite band when I was a kid. Before I even got into rock and metal, like with the other mainstream bands, I was listening to Lost Prophets. You know, this is way back in the day, but there was something called Pixo, which allowed you to make your own websites easily. And when I was in 4th grade, I made my own Pixo website called coldflames.pixo.com. Don't even bother searching for it. It's dead and buried 6 feet under, went straight to hell. Not even on archive.org. But on my Pixo website, the very first thing that would happen when you went there is the music video for Lost Prophets' Rooftop song would play. That's right, I was like an early adopter of the K-pop stan culture where they just spam music videos everywhere to farm views for them. That's what I did for Lost Prophets on my website. So their music video for Rooftops would play, and then if you went to any of the other links on the side, a different Lost Prophets music video would play. I don't remember everything I posted on that website. I know a lot of it was RuneScape related, like giving updates on my character. But when I was giving updates, you would always be having a Lost Prophets music video play, like Shinobi vs. Dragon Ninja or something like that. But yeah, all that to say, I was big into the band, so this shit hurt a lot learning about this. I've always had that mentality of you need to separate art from artist when it comes to things, but I've been unable to do that for this band. They were my favorite band when I was a young kid. I can't listen to them anymore after learning everything about Ian Watkins. It's impossible for me. I can't separate the art from the artist, especially considering Ian Watkins in one of their music videos even subtly hints at his crimes. In the music video for A Town Called Hypocrisy, Ian says at the end, "Hi kids, welcome to Town Time. We have an amazing show for you. You're going to learn all kinds of important lessons." And in hindsight, it's pretty clear what he was like saying here, knowing his history and what was actually going on behind the scenes. And it's so fucked up. Now let's get into the actual timeline as well as history of Ian Watkins and the band. I'm not going to be showing much footage at all here. I'm mainly just going to be telling the story. It just doesn't really sit right with me to show anything from them. Knowing what we know now about Ian Watkins, it just feels fucking weird and yucky. However, there is a great breakdown of this whole situation from a channel called Gamers Inked, and they do show footage from the band as well as interviews of Ian Watkins, and they do a great job with it, so I recommend checking that out if you're interested in seeing more from the group as well as Ian and who he was as a person. But for me, I'm not going to be showing any of it, so let's get into it. Ian Watkins was the stepson of a Baptist minister and was an honor roll student. He basically fucking straight A'd his whole career as a student, graduated with honors from the University of Wales, and then in 1997 formed The Lost Prophets. They saw moderate success with their first album called The Fake Sound of Progress, but it was in 2004 with their follow-up album, Start Something, that they really broke into the mainstream spotlight. They sold 2.5 million copies and were propelled into stardom. They had their music videos on MTV. They even had Last Train Home on the soundtrack to NFL Street, which was a great game. NFL Street had a fucking wild soundtrack, but yeah, they were there. They were everywhere. Montages, back when Halo 2 montages were just starting to get their feet, Lost Prophets really took it by storm. They were a mainstream success, pretty much overnight with Start Something. With all the success came a lot of fans, many of which were underage girls that Ian Watkins would invite backstage after gigs. And from a couple of sources I've read, there were even rumors circulating around this time from media outlets that noted that there were minors backstage at these concerts around Ian Watkins, which made them uncomfortable, but they didn't really report on it or do anything on it, so I think that's a big fucking blunder from them. That is absolutely something that I think they should have raised an eyebrow with and looked into a bit deeper, but regardless. 2004, they had Start Something, they were blowing up. Ian Watkins was already abusing his status and starting to bring underage girls backstage. Then around 2008, he started getting addicted to hard drugs like crystal meth and cocaine. There was even a Music Insider that revealed more information to the depravity that was happening behind the scenes. They really blew the lid off the case of what was exactly going on back there. One of Ian Watkins' exes gave an extremely in-depth explanation for all of the awful shit that he was doing and interested in, from child pornography to bestiality to him believing he was invincible and untouchable. Her name is Joanne, and she spent years gathering evidence against Ian Watkins in order to get the authorities to take him in, investigate, and arrest him, but was ignored at every possible turn. I think Gamers Inc. video does the best concise breakdown of the timeline here, so I'm just going to play a short clip from it before getting a little more in depth.
But did find it strange that there were so many young girls around the band that often. Joanne began receiving disturbing text messages from Watkins in 2008, following an incident in a video discovered by the police, in which the two are having sex, and Watkins is heard to tell Joanne that he can't wait to get you pregnant so they would have a child to abuse. Joanne then received a text message from Watkins in 2008, in which he bragged to Joanne that he had sex with multiple underage girls. Joanne, disgusted by this, went to the police immediately that same day, but unfortunately this would be the first of many instances in which Joanne was ignored.
It is worth noting that she did also say some horrible things to Ian. However, her side of the story is she was trying to gather as much evidence against him as possible to submit to the authorities to trap him and bring him to justice. So I think that's worth bringing up. She went to the police multiple times with her phone and laptop and asked them to look into it. Here's all the evidence, now please use it. And they never did. I don't know what their excuse was for not investigating further. Maybe because she was a sex worker for a time, so they didn't take her seriously, but they just wrote her off as an angry ex. Ian Watkins would regularly brag to her about having sex with kids. He would even send her images of actual, sexual abuse of children, and they just never took it seriously. At least, not until Ian Watkins was actually arrested, and then they launched a massive investigation and arrested Joanne for possession of those images that Ian sent her. So she got arrested for the possession of the evidence she was gathering for the authorities, who just weren't doing their job here. She was eventually cleared of these charges, but still, just an awful situation all around. He could have been stopped much, much earlier if the authorities had bothered to look into it even slightly. Because, like I said, he wasn't really hiding anything. There were a lot of rumors dating as far back to 2004 about some of the awful shit he was doing. They could have just done the bare minimum and gotten this guy way before 2012. In that time, how many more victims were there, you have to wonder. It also wasn't just Joanne that was submitting all of this evidence or making all of these claims against Ian Watkins. There were a lot of different people that came forward. For example, an Australian woman told police that Watkins was a child abuser and drug abuser. Her email even concluded saying, "Do not disregard this as it's serious." Nothing happened. There was other complaints, including intelligence reports about Watkins' drug use and sexual interest in kids that kept getting submitted to the South Wales Police Department that didn't get investigated. In March 2012, a woman even told police that Watkins may have sexually assaulted an 11-month-old boy, and then even described images that could be found on his computer if they searched. But they didn't search. Now, I'm going to look into the case just a bit, but I'm not going to go that deep because it's way too gross to talk about. It's so bad, in fact, that the judge that sentenced Ian Watkins, as well as the two mothers I mentioned at the start of the video that abused their kids for him, he said this: "Those who have appeared in these courts at the bar or on the bench over many years see and hear a large number of horrific cases. This case, however, breaks new ground. What you three did plumbed new depths of depravity." The full sentencing remarks can be found online, but I don't encourage anyone out there to read them because they will make you sick to your stomach. You will absolutely fucking puke. It'll ruin your whole day trying to read this. I'm only going to read a couple and bits and pieces of them. I can't read half of this shit. It's so fucking painful to even say. I'm only going to do a couple here, just to give you an idea of how bad this guy was. This isn't even the whole thing. So here, count 18 dates back to March 2007. You met after a Lost Prophets concert when she was a 16-year-old virgin. The prospect of taking her virginity excited you. You got her to dress in a schoolgirl's outfit and you videoed her and you having oral, vaginal, and anal sex. You asked her whether she enjoyed being your underage slut. At the end, you urinated over her face and told her to drink it. That gives you some insight into your attitude to young females at the time. Over 5 years before counts relating to count 19 dates back to August 2008. The girl was another fan, age 16. You videoed her having oral sex with you, and she is seen snorting white powder, which you told her was cocaine. This next part, I think, is going to be one of the most disturbing things you'll probably ever hear. This is in regards to the mothers, to one of them in particular. "But you were a mother. Your infant was only 10 months old. A mother naturally loves, protects, shields, nurtures, and cherishes. Your infant would have trusted you implicitly. You betrayed that trust. What did you do? You had a detailed discussion with Watkins about the sexual acts to which the two of you were going to subject your infant." That's as far as I'm going to read, because then it goes into detail about what happened with Watkins, the mother, and that baby. And there is a video of it where they are sexually abusing a 10-month-old baby, and it's described in detail in the sentencing remarks. It is horrific. And this isn't all of it. Like, these were only 3 counts that I just read to you. It goes on and on and on. I think Ian Watkins is the biggest monster to have ever existed in any capacity as a celebrity or a singer, and just one of the most depraved individuals I've ever read about. They talk about the child pornography images and videos he has with kids aged 2 to 12. It's like an endless amount of the worst things you could possibly imagine. So yeah, I think the answer to who is the most evil artist or musician of all time is Ian Watkins. There's a long list of horribly fucked up celebrities out there, and I think Ian Watkins is somewhere towards the top of that list. That's about it. See ya.